Since becoming the head coach,
and the NFL knows him.
he got the job because he was supposed to be an offensive specialist. It's horrible. They're wasting the defense again.
Get inside the NFL with Keyshawn J.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Lots to get into here today. We'll, of course, dive into some college football discussion. ESPN College Football Playoff reporter Heather Dinich is going to join us here coming up in 15 minutes as we'll try to get the latest on what she's hearing. It does sound like all signs are being pointed in the direction of, to no surprise, that Ohio State's going to be eligible for the Big Ten championship game a week from Saturday against Northwestern. And for whatever reason, it has caused quite the stir. The one thing we discussed yesterday, Kevin, was the fact that, look, Ohio State, even if they put a game on their schedule this week, let's say that they put Indiana again on the schedule, which can't happen. But let's say that they did put Indiana on the schedule this week and they lost to Indiana. Ohio State's still in the Big Ten championship game, regardless. So Ohio State is already, from that standpoint and from a wins perspective, the best team, and just from a common sense perspective, the best team in the Big Ten, the best team on that side of the Big Ten as well. So right now, just waiting for that final stamp of approval, but we'll get the latest from ESPN's Heather Dinich coming up here in 10 minutes. We'll also have live reaction with her. We'll have her reaction right away to the reveal of the latest college football playoff rankings that was revealed last night. That's been very anticlimactic a little bit, Kev, because it's been the same 7 teams involved from the get-go. There really hasn't been any surprise team. In fact, the one team we've tried to keep an eye on that's at least been interesting outside of your typical Power 5 schools has been Cincinnati, and they dropped yesterday. I know everyone out there said, oh, you shouldn't be penalized for not playing, but that's exactly what's happening. Yeah. For those out there, too, who are upset about, 2 lost teams, somehow Iowa State came surging in all the way up to number 7. They are a 2-loss team. I actually am the elitist of the group here, and I have a problem with the 2-loss team passing Cincinnati, even if who Iowa State has played and beaten is more impressive. That's strange to me.
I have a big problem with that. I have a problem with them. I have a problem with Georgia being so high up in the rankings. I understand that these teams are winning games now, and Iowa State looks good now and everything like that. But guess what? They did the first game of the season. They lost. You know what I'm saying? Also, Georgia, they got blew out twice. This is what makes college football different from the NFL. In the NFL, as we're seeing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're 11-0. They look great early in the season. They've been looking shaky the last couple of weeks, and now they finally got their first loss. It's not inconceivable that the Pittsburgh Steelers could lose their first playoff game, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, it's all about the hot team going into the playoffs. We've seen that happen with the New York Giants twice. We've seen that happen with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've seen it happen with the New England Patriots. We've seen it happen with the Baltimore Ravens. The hot team going into playoffs is normally the team that comes out the champion. But college football is supposed to be a collective of the entire season. It's supposed to be from the kick to the final game of the season. That's what it's supposed to be. And they're putting these teams up there because they're winning now and penalizing UC because they had a COVID outbreak and they didn't play. Oh, we didn't see them play this week. Well, is it a accumulation of the entire season or is it just week to week? Like, I don't get the fact that these other teams are being, for lack of a word, penalized for their losses. Like, they're saying, oh, man, Georgia had good losses. What? They got blew out. No. What Indiana had was a good loss. They lost by 7. Georgia got blew out twice.
By a team that they're trying to prove that they belong in that group.
Right.
So not only, like we talked about the Purdue-Iowa loss years ago, you can forgive. I don't mind one loss. I can forgive a one-loss team. Now, I can't forgive a one-loss team that got blown out.
Twice.
So that's where I'm at when it comes to Georgia. And then you look at Iowa State, who lost to Oklahoma State 24-21. That's a close loss.
Right.
But they also lost to Louisiana in week 1. Now, now that loss doesn't look as bad just because Louisiana is at least still in the top 25. Right. But at the time, that was a little bit of a shocker going all the way back then. But you got blown out.
They lost.
They got losses are not losses. A loss is fine.
Yeah.
Who you lose to matters. How you lose matters. I mean, you differ on that. I don't look at, they lost, they should have been in the conversation. You can forgive a loss.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I learn more about Indiana and a loss than I have about some of these teams and their wins.
I'm a proponent of you can lose once, as long as it isn't a blowout. But once you get that second loss, you're out. You're out. Like this whole Georgia and Iowa State talk. Iowa State, they got some real good victories, and they got that big win at Texas and everything like that. That was great TV to watch. But as far as them being involved in the college football playoff talk, I think it's silly. I think it's bona fide silly. I think that these teams and these people that's voting on the college football playoff need to really start evaluating wins and losses. There's no point of playing the games if you just gonna go off of, we're there in a bigger conference. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, again, I think in Cincinnati, to go back to the original point, they're going to have a opportunity where the full body of work is really what they're going to be judged on up to this point. But here's where the hypocrisy. This is why I love the further we get into the debates about the college football playoff rankings each week, the metrics or the factors that we use one week to justify where teams are, we throw that out the window and use a different one the next week. For instance, Ohio State, we're not going to punish them for how little games that they've played, but we're going to keep them at 4 because they haven't played enough games for us to convince us that they're better than a one-loss Clemson team. So you're penalizing Ohio, not penalizing, but they're still in the 4. But you're keeping Ohio State at 4 because they haven't played enough games. But we're not going to penalize you for not playing enough games. Cincinnati, you're undefeated. You've won every game you're supposed to, but we're going to drop you because you haven't played enough games. So it's like we change it each week. We every week target. So that's what's funny about that too. But now the blowout losses thing, that I just don't get that. Justin Nickel on Facebook, by the way, he reaches out and brings up the fact that you look at Matt Campbell and the job he's done at Iowa State. He says Iowa State with their coach has been making noise the last few years.
Sure.
He has, but Justin, at the same time, what noise is that? Is it more noise than Luke Fickell? Is it more noise than coaches of programs who are winning all their games? The thing with Iowa State, they're always a team that we try to throw in as one of those surprise teams, and then they always let you down. And not only have they let you down once, they've let you down twice already. So I'm throwing Iowa State out. I know we like those feel-good stories. The only teams on the outside looking in that I think we need to be worried about are Pac-12 teams. And that's what we're going to talk about with ESPN's Heather Dinich coming up here in just under 10 minutes. But one thing I know I'm going to ask her is, we've basically had the same 7 since the very first poll came out until recently, with Iowa State taking over for Cincinnati. Are there going to be some teams that pop into that top 7, that top 6, that top 5 that are going to ruffle, basically the standard makeup already? Miami, they're not going anywhere. They're just going to be sitting there. They're just hovering. They're hovering because they're not bad. They do have 1 loss, but there's really nothing else that they could do. Oklahoma, 2 losses. Sorry, you're out. Indiana, 6-1. Coastal Carolina. We said the importance of, hey, challenge yourself. Go schedule those games. You schedule them, you win them. You're still on the outside looking in. You have 2 lost teams ahead of you. I'm sorry. There's a lot of question marks I have. But if there are, do you think there'll be teams that we're not even talking about yet that are going to be knocking on the door?
No.
It is what it is right now already.
They've made it clear that these are the teams that they deem worthy enough to play for the college football playoff. I'm not sure who Coastal Carolina has left on their schedule, but it's not going to be a top 5 ranked team. They don't have an opportunity to play another top 5 ranked team to get a big win or anything like that. And, we look at the Pac-12, but those teams are all the way down in the teens and 20s. They don't have an opportunity to get a huge win on championship Saturday to just booster their way all the way up there, to move up 15 spots. It's just not going to happen. So it's the teams that we've been talking about since day one. And since the polls came out, these are the teams that they deem worthy enough, which is fine, but don't sell us a bill of goods and say, oh no, we're looking at the whole body of work, when you're really not. You're really looking at a cluster of teams that you have already deemed worthy or not early in the season, and you're just trying to play it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I've always argued, if Cincinnati has no shot of ever making the playoff, then don't take up a spot. Don't do it for show. So for instance, Cincinnati hovering at that 7-8 spot. if there really is no path for them to make the playoff, I don't know how you do this, right? Like the whole purpose of the top 25 is to be able to add credible wins to these teams, the resume boosters. Because I've always argued that the college football playoff rankings should just be a list of your top 10. But you need the 11 through the 25 so that when those teams 1 through 10 are beating those teams 11 through 25, that's how we kind of, bolster their resume a bit. That's how we talk about the top 25 wins and the, credibility of the opponents. That's why it's there. But what I have a problem with is basically what that poll is supposed to tell you is that poll is the order of which, you would make the playoff.
Right.
Hey, Cincinnati, you're number 8. If these 3 teams or 4 teams in front of you lost, you'd be right up. And that's not the case. A couple of those teams would lose. You would take teams behind Cincinnati and put them in. So don't waste Cincinnati's time and don't waste our time. Just get them out of there. Don't even let them be ranked then. Like, I know that sounds weird, but why rank teams high in the college football playoff rankings that have a 0% shot of making it? And I don't care what anybody says. Cincinnati has a 0% shot of making it through no fault of their own. But we build them up. We put them at 7. We put them at 8. We tell them how great they are. We think you can. We think you can. We know they can't. We know they can't. We think you can. We know they can't. That's what we do to Cincinnati. It's a waste of their time. It's a waste of our time. We just need to either stop playing the charade. Every year we do this charade where we make everyone feel like they have a shot. They don't have a shot.
Yeah, they don't have a shot. Coastal Carolina doesn't have a shot. BYU doesn't have a shot. Unless you're of the Power 5 or Notre Dame, you don't have a shot to make the college football playoff. And it's real sad, and it's all being put out on display this year. In years past, all these things, and I've been a big proponent of this, like, well, it always works itself out. And for the most part, it always worked itself out. Hey, man, you lost, so you're not in. But this year, we're looking like we're going to have multiple teams that are undefeated that aren't going to be in the college football playoff, like, UCLA, obviously UC, Coastal Carolina, Colorado. There's going to be tons of teams out there that is undefeated, and they're not sniffing the college football playoff. And that's quite alarming. And I guess we can all just chalk it up to 2020. I'm sure that's what they're going to try to sell us. Like, well, it was a strange year and where everybody didn't play enough games and all that type of stuff. I got you. But you said this very early in the college football season. If not this season, when?
Because you have an excuse this year to put them in.
Yeah, so it's quite alarming, man. It's pretty disheartening as well.
All right, real quick, couple of Facebook reactions on the way out. ESPN college football playoff reporter Heather Dinich. She joins us next as we get the latest on the status of the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game, as well as reaction to last night's college football playoff rankings. Nick on Facebook says Cincinnati is the UCF of a couple years ago. Absolutely. Nice. And when Luke Fickell leaves at the end of this season, I'm not going to say, you're quitting on the team. He's leaving this season because they are literally telling you, you have no shot of ever coaching in a college football playoff. So Cincinnati Bearcat fans can't get mad at Fickell. I can't criticize Fickell. I can criticize Fickell if I felt that, hey, why are you going to leave when you could build something here? We did the same thing with Archie Miller at UD. Why leave if you're basically telling UD you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish here?
But see,
and then 2-3 years later, look what Anthony Grant does. He did exactly what.
Yeah, I was just going to say, see, the difference between college basketball and college football is there's a tournament of 68 teams, and technically, a 16 seed, you're in the playoff to win the championship. There's only 4 spots in college football, and there's going to be teams out there that's undefeated who did everything they could do in their power to try to make the playoff, and they're going to be on the outside looking in. It's something that needs to be looked at, and especially like when you do voting behind closed doors, they get on ESPN, the commissioner of the thing talks and gives no answers. No answers. Like, Reese Davis does a great job of asking questions, but they never get the answers. They get some running around verbiage, just word vomit, basically.
All right. ESPN college football playoff reporter Heather Dinich. She joins us next right here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly clear with a high near 50. Tonight's also going to be clear with a low around 28, and tomorrow will be mostly clear with a high near 52. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Tie ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball to point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it's
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers basketball fans can't make it to the arena this season, but want to experience a safe electric college game day atmosphere? Timothy's Bar and Grill is the spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers!
Starting route. Your destination is 0.1 miles away.
If you drive less than
500 feet, turn left. You have arrived at your destination.
If you drive less than 25 miles a day, you could be paying less every day with pay-per-mile car insurance from Allstate. You get the same reliable coverage and hands-on expertise you'd expect from Allstate, but now at a price that's tailored to the miles you drive.
Call your local Allstate agent and start paying what's right for you. Includes a daily rate. Prices vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Not applicable in California. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and its affiliates.
In a world of secrets, danger, and spies, what these competitors don't know will hurt them. Tonight on MTV, get ready for the challenge, Double Agents. When everyone's a double agent, how do you know if you've been double-crossed? Can anyone be trusted? Or are your allies telling lies? This season, it's double the action, double the twists, and double the betrayal in the challenge's most covert mission ever. It's no trust, all sus. Don't miss the challenge, Double Agents. New season premieres tonight at 8, 7 Central on MTV.
Is the cost of finishing the basement worth the benefit of some peace and quiet?
When questions find you, Merrill Edge Self-Directed Investing can help you find answers with personalized planning tools and insights to help you get where you want to go, even if it's just downstairs. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated. Registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
At JCPenney's mystery sale, Merry Savings await this Thursday to Sunday. So hurry in to find out how much you can save. You could get a Peel and Reveal coupon for an extra 30, 40, or even 50% off in our in-store giveaway. Use it to save on family outerwear, cozy sleepwear, and more. And everyone gets an extra 30% off at jcp.com. Need it fast? Pick up your order curbside. Joy, comfort, peace. JCPenney. Coupon valid 12/10 to 12/13. Giveaway in-store only while supplies last. Must be 18 or older. Excluding supplies. See store or jcp.com for details.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station and home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 Wing AM. Of course, right now we're sitting back and we're, of course, just waiting for what's next for Ohio State. And we know that, they're well on their way potentially to the Big Ten championship game. And joining us now to give us the latest on what she's hearing behind the scenes, we have ESPN's college football playoff reporter, Heather Dinich, joining us. Heather, welcome in. How are you? We appreciate your time.
Yeah, you bet. I'm okay. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. We're good. We're just sitting back and waiting to find out what's next. That's why we wanted to bring you on so you can actually add some brains to this show. So kind of give us a little bit of an update on what you're hearing. It sounds like it's well on its way to happening. We're just waiting on them to cross some T's and dot some I's?
Yeah, that's my sense of it. And, I've tried to couch it a little bit as I reported this because there is support for it at the AD level. But look, you guys know it's got to get all the way up to the presidents, and they've got to at least give a nod of approval on it. And I think that's at the point that we're waiting for. But my understanding, especially as we saw the news earlier today of the Old Oak and Bucket game being canceled between Indiana and Purdue, that they're leaning towards changing this 6-game benchmark. And I think the bottom line is the Buckeyes are in good shape. Like you said, I think it's just a matter of waiting for the final stamp of approval. But I would expect that by the end of the day today, Ohio State will be playing in the Big Ten Conference Championship game.
Obviously, us being in Ohio, we're huge Ohio State fans, and we're rooting for them to be in the Big Ten Championship. But how are the people in Indiana taking this? Because they're the ones truly being affected by this.
Yeah, that's interesting. At the end of the day, I think one of the conversations that happened between the athletic directors this morning was the fact that Ohio State has a head-to-head over Indiana, and that even if Ohio State found another opponent to play this Saturday, win or lose, they would still represent the East in the Big Ten championship game. And so at the AD level, at least, it wasn't something that was going to change the standings.
Heather, with that being said, so okay, let's say, assuming they're in the Big Ten championship game, they win the Big Ten championship game, that puts Ohio State at 6-0. They are undefeated 6-0 Big Ten champions. I don't think we're debating the authenticness of Ohio State and their talent and what they bring to the table, but how strong is that resume? Can you say it's bulletproof? Is the Ohio State resume bulletproof at 6-0 and Big Ten champions?
No, it's not bulletproof, but that conference championship is a tiebreaker that the selection committee uses in that meeting room when trying to decipher between similar teams. And if you've got a one-loss Notre Dame hanging out there, and their only loss is to Clemson in the ACC championship, the Irish have a case. And so if that number 4 spot, it comes down to a debate between Ohio State and Notre Dame, who do you take? Well, part of it is strength of schedule, part of it's head-to-head, that doesn't exist, and part of it's conference championship. So, and as we know, guys, more than ever this year, the eye test matters. So it can come down to simply who do they think is the better team, but it is certainly better for the Buckeyes to have that title in their favor than not if they get into that debate.
A lot of people out here are talking about, they're just setting it up so Ohio State can get into the college football playoff and the fix is in and everything like that. And my whole argument has been other conferences are making sure that they get a participant in the college football playoff. We saw what the ACC did with Clemson and Notre Dame, making sure they had a bye before their conference championship game to face off. My whole point is that you're darn right. These college conferences are trying to make sure they have a representative. Like, that's the point. That's why they're part of a league. That's why they're part of a conference. What are your thoughts?
Right. There's maneuvering going on, right? And it's pretty blatant. By the way, they're playing college football in a pandemic, so it's move the pieces as you go along here. Look, at the end of the day, one of the things that the athletic directors have to live with is the optics of this. Right. There's no hiding behind the fact, yes, what are you doing? You're trying to best position your best team for a spot in the college football playoff. That's no secret. Everybody can see that, right? But I think that this is truly a collaborative effort from the athletic directors. Everyone recognizes this, that Ohio State is the best team in the league, right? So give them a shot, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and with that being said, the thing that is interesting about all of this is that you look at the top 4 in Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State. Basically, those were the top 4 we figured that were going to be in the top 4 regardless of order coming into the season. And that's kind of where we're sitting at now with just a few weeks remaining before we get the final, Final Four tally as far as that goes. So as devastating as this entire season has seemed to be, it's like we're still getting basically close to the end result that we were all expecting to begin with.
It's amazing, isn't it? I've been covering this since March when the basketball tournaments were brought to a screeching halt. And, it's just been such a roller coaster ride. There was a point where it seemed like nothing would happen. And then there was a point where it seemed like everything would be okay. And now our whole country is a red blob of coronavirus. And it's like, are we going to make it through the next 2 weeks? And I keep reminding people that these conference championship games are no different than any other game that has the potential to be canceled all season. So every single FBS conference has a contingency plan. As we sit here today, this could be a moot point. Who says Notre Dame or Ohio State, Northwestern are going to actually get the game, on December 19th? So there's still a lot up in the air. Every weekend is fragile. Every time the test results come back, I know coaches, players, athletic directors all over the country are holding their breath. This is no different, but the difference now is that we can see the finish line, and that's a huge accomplishment.
Pam, I'm going to shift focus all the way out to the Pac-12. We have 2 teams in the Pac-12 South who are undefeated, with USC number 15 and Colorado number 21. Like I said, they're both in the Pac-12 South, and they don't play each other. So who gets to go to the Pac-12 championship game if both teams remain undefeated?
I don't have the tiebreaker rule right in front of me, but I do believe it's just winning percentage, and then it's there's no head-to-head. You're right. I don't know. I have to look it up.
You stumped the Schwab, Kev. How about that?
I know everybody looks at me crazy because I've been talking about this for a couple weeks because I could see it happening. But for lack of a better word, that's so 2020. That is so 2020. You're going to have two teams from the same side of the conference undefeated, and then they're going to have to choose which one goes to play for the conference championship. If that ain't 2020.
No, you're totally right. And as soon as we hang up here, I'm going to look it up because that's going to drive me nuts because I know there's an answer for it. And I remember when I wrote the news story about the Pac-12, their tiebreakers were like pretty intricate, and it's paragraphs worth. So out. It's some library reading.
And it's funny though, because you look at these conferences and the plans that they put in place, during COVID, there's really not a bulletproof plan at all. And for instance, the Big Ten, look, they've made mistakes along the way, but having the 6-game minimum, I had no problem with that rule. You need to have at least a minimum. You can't have Ohio State be 2-0 and us having these same arguments about why they need to be in the Big Ten title game. But the worst case scenario for the Big Ten played out. 14 Big Ten teams, 11 of the 14 at least got 6 games in, and of course, one of the 3 that didn't just happened to be their only national championship contender. That's bad luck right there, Heather.
There you go. And, to your point, the Big Ten is not the only conference that set a benchmark. Mm-hmm. And I think that's gotten lost. The Pac-12 has done the same thing, very, very similar. The max benchmark is even lower. They only need to play 50% of their games. If my bad math is correct, I think in the Big Ten it's 70%, right? Initially, when the Big Ten athletic directors met in the summer to talk about this, and there was a 10-game schedule, they wanted to make it 7 of 10 games. So, it's like I said, it was about fairness. That was the intention, as you mentioned, because what if somebody does only get 2 games in? They wanted to avoid that. And so here we are. And I thought Ryan Day made a great point on his teleconference just about how you have to be flexible because this is all changing every week and you have to adapt to what you know at that time. And I think leagues have done that with testing and contact tracing and everything else as it evolves.
What are some of the long-term effects of this college football season? Some things that are going to roll over to the following seasons, like we saw with BYU taking a game midweek to play Coastal Carolina. Could we actually see those type of things happen in seasons to come?
I hope so. I hope if the scheduling is one thing that changes out of it, because so often we see great matchups and don't actually see them for 10 or 15 or 20 more years, right? And it's like, wait a minute, BYU is forever going to be the new standard of that, right? And fans are just going to be like, wait a minute, we saw this happen. They went 2,000 miles across the country. Why can't Ohio State and Texas A&M play in September next year, right? Get it done. So, I hope that that's something that they figure out and is a little bit more consistent. And I think it'll be fun for college football fans. But I also know it's extremely difficult for athletic directors to line those games up. And that's why they are done so far in advance. But I think there's going to be a lot of different changes out of this, from recruiting to athletic budgets. We've seen budget cuts all over the place. There's going to be a lasting impact in many ways for sure.
All right. ESPN College Football Playoff reporter Heather Dinich was awesome enough to hang out with us. I mean, I'm seeing your face all over. I'm hearing your voice all over every media outlet out there. You're a very busy person, so we beyond appreciate your time. Just real quick on your way out, give us this. You talked about, the Big Ten championship game. Who knows if that game gets in? I mean, COVID could impact anything. Has the playoff discussed a bubble situation? Is there going to be a universal testing format for the 4 teams that fall under that, or will they just fall under their conference umbrella with that? Are those conversations being had?
No bubble, I can tell you that for sure. What they will do is use the conference protocols. So let's say Ohio State's in a semifinal. Ohio State will continue to do its daily testing, the PCR testing, whenever it does that, and just continue to follow its protocols, just as if they were playing Alabama would follow the SEC protocols, and they would each do that individually heading into those games. I think that the lead-up time into those games is going to be much shorter.
All right. Heather, thank you so much for your time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. All right, good stuff. Again, ESPN College Football Playoff reporter Heather Dinich. That's something I was thinking about earlier today. I'm like, okay, you can't bubble every college football program out there. Way too many bodies, way too many people to try to, form a bubble situation for. But if you are the College Football Playoff Committee, those games that's what basically what we've done this entire last 3 or 4 months is to get to this point to have a playoff. You would hate to get to the playoff and have one of those games be canceled because of it. And from what I'm hearing, it will not be canceled. They'll push it back as far as they need to. But why would you not try to create some kind of bubble environment when you're only talking about 4 teams in general? Get them there a week early. 2 weeks early if you have to keep them isolated for that amount of time. Get the practices in, get the games. Stop having a game 1 week and the championship game an entire month later. Just quick hits. 2 weeks of isolation, 2 weeks of practice time, semifinals, championship game the next week. No clue why they're risking a lot here. Their ego has bit them in the ass throughout this entire stretch, and now they're testing their luck again. I hope it doesn't blow up in their face. If we get through this without it getting any bumpier than what it already has, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm all for a bubble, man. You got to think about it. Depending on where if Ohio State makes it to the college football playoff, I always got to say that. But there's a situation where they could be flying all the way out to California for the Rose Bowl, and then flying all the way back to Columbus, and then flying, I forget what the actual championship game is, but they're going to be getting on multiple planes over multiple weeks and multiple chances of exposure, outside of the exposure risk they're already at up in Franklin County, which is just like Montgomery County, just like Cuyahoga County, just like every other county in Ohio. It's in the purple, level 4. So, you're exposing your college football players so many times. I'm with you. I would definitely would prefer like a bubble situation for both games. You go down there, you're in a bubble for a week, you play the game, then you go from one bubble to the next bubble. Or it's just like you said, you're putting yourself
in jeopardy. Yes.
Just joking.
Yeah. I almost did this. Yeah, I was trying to catch you without your hand by the dump button over there. It's just a cluster fill in the blank afterwards. But as Heather, again, if you just missed the interview with ESPN's Heather Dinich, we will have that up on the website coming up here in just a few moments. But as she just said, it's just, we don't know what's going to happen with this movie. I mean, anything could happen right now, but I did find it interesting that they have no plans in place, that they are just going to attack this thing head on. So,
plans in place. That's quite alarming.
But I did bring this up. As critical as we've been at college football and saying it's been a disaster of a year, the teams that we expected to be in the hunt are in the hunt. There's not one team that is not in the hunt right now that we can say, oh man, if only COVID didn't happen, they'd be in good shape. Maybe Penn State would have been more equipped. Maybe, I still think them being without some of their key guys really changed how they approach the season. Maybe you can use them. I don't know. But the point is that Alabama, they've had some bumps in the road. Nick Saban missed a game as far as being on the sideline.
Right.
But overall, they're undefeated. They're the best team in the country. They're right at number 1. Clemson, they've been bit more than some of the others in regards to they actually had to lose their best player. Trevor Lawrence didn't play for a month and a half. Or 5 weeks. For 5 straight weeks, Trevor Lawrence did not play a game, Kevin. Whether it was, his time that he had to be isolated and out, he missed the Notre Dame game. There were some weeks that had games canceled because like Florida State and others. There were a lot of things that led to him missing 5 weeks of action. But yet here they are. They're still in the top 4, even with the loss to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, we figured would be in the picture. That's why we were excited about them joining the ACC to set up that potential ACC title game that could, in essence, be a rematch, basically a playoff game in itself. Every team that should be in the hunt is in the hunt. There is not one team that has been impacted to the point by COVID that they have had a championship opportunity taken from them. I will say, Kev, Ohio State's the closest to it impacting them. Because if they do miss the playoff, because they only have 6 games and a 1-loss Florida team gets in over them, then my tune will change. Then I will say, okay, the team that got basically screwed here because of COVID was Ohio State. Because if they pick a 1-loss Florida team because they beat Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, the only reason they are taking a 1-loss SEC team over an undefeated Big Ten team is because we're not talking about a 10, 11, 12-0 Big Ten champion. Right. We're talking about a 6-0 Big Ten champion who played significantly less games than everybody else. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and also something you could also add to that, the other teams on Ohio State's schedule is not pulling their weight. Like Penn State, they're not pulling their weight by winning, multiple games this season. They're still stuck at 1 win. You know what I mean? Obviously, we understand that the rivalry game versus that team up north is canceled, but they're not holding their weight. Normally they're winning 8-9 games. Obviously there's not 8-9 games to play this year, but you still expect them to have some games underneath their belt, to have, a ranked opponent on your schedule that you defeated. The only ranked opponent on Ohio State's schedule that they've defeated is Indiana, and they have Indiana all the way down at 12, below Iowa State and Georgia for some strange reason.
Yeah, I wanted to ask her. She had shot us a note during that interview saying, hey, guys, I have another interview. Someone's calling me on the other side. So that's why I was like, I didn't even get to ask her about Iowa State. Didn't get to the Cincinnati stuff. She said she'd come back on with us again here in the next couple weeks. So
that burns
we'll
me
get
up.
into more of
Dude.
that.
Like this Indiana and Iowa State thing is maddening to me.
The reason I'm not going to let it madden me is because they're not getting in the top 4. So at this point, what are you out? I mean, now if it keeps Indiana out of a New Year's bowl game, then or whatever day that the games get postponed to,
right?
It is what it is. So Travco, Travis on here, he's a Michigan fan. Now I'm putting this up and I'm reading it because here's the deal. I don't really care about the team affiliation that you have as fans. What Travis says here is that if this had happened to Indiana and they were 5-0, the rule would have stood. Mm-hmm. So let's say this is a total joke and now no rules will hold any credibility. There is nothing for what I agree with him. Mm-mm. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I agree with him. If this was the other way around, if Indiana was undefeated, like he just said, this, like if the roles were reversed, let's say Indiana pulled off the upset against Ohio State weeks ago, and Indiana had 5 games, and there's 5-1 Ohio State, and that one extra game that Ohio State had just happened to be that one loss that they had to Indiana. I truly believe the Big Ten would hold the rule as is and award the Big Ten title game to Ohio State.
No way.
Okay, it's one thing to say I'm wrong, but to say that there's no way, totally disagree. You just said the conferences do what they need to get their teams. If Travco might be trolling, but I actually agree with him.
If it was reversed and Indiana was undefeated, Indiana would be sitting in that 4th spot.
I disagree.
If Indiana was undefeated with a victory over Ohio State, they'll be sitting in that 4th spot.
Look, if Indiana's already not getting enough respect as it is, they're the only team. Indiana and Alabama are the only 2 teams in the country that have 3 top 25 wins. As far as the current top 25, They are the only teams that have 3 top 25 wins. And look at where they're at in the college football playoff rankings. And their loss is still better. So they have 3 top 25 wins, and their one loss was 1 possession to the number 4 team, who would probably be the number 2 team in the country had this been a normal season in which you're playing a regular amount of games. Indiana is already, based on how the committee's looking at them and treating them, that's why I disagree with you. They're already not giving Indiana respect, who has 3 top 25 wins. Their only loss is against a top 4 team in Ohio State by 1 possession, but you're going to put a 2-loss Iowa State ahead of them, a 2-loss Georgia ahead of them.
But that win over Ohio State will carry so much weight.
But they're already showing that the other top 25 wins just isn't. I don't know. But it is interesting. I don't disagree with Travis. I agree with him. We were on different sides.
I truly believe whomever that team is sitting at number 4 from the Big Ten Conference and only have 5 wins, and they were in the catbird seat to make their way to the college football playoff. Not only should they, it will be their right. It should be the right thing to do to make sure that they got their playoff, no matter if it's Michigan, Rutgers, Penn State, Ohio State, Backyard State, whomever is in that catbird seat to make it to the college football playoff. They need to make sure they do everything in their power to put them in there. And if you and Travco are right, you know what I'm saying, I would hope that you guys are wrong. Obviously, we're not in a room and making these judgment calls, but if that was the case, then we should never play football. We should never play college football again if we're simply going to do it based off of name brands and because they're big time schools.
We've seen them prove it already. We watched Ohio State lose to a Big Ten title team in Penn State a few years ago.
Penn State also had 2 losses.
But again, they didn't get it. I mean, I don't know. Travco's probably doing it to get a rise out of Buckeye fans. I'm reading it, and I'm like, you know what? If the roles were reversed, I agree. Because ultimately, it is all about money. Indiana's not money for them in the playoff. And yes, getting Indiana, an undefeated Indiana team in the playoff is not good for them. Look, for 2 straight years, you had Michigan State make the playoff and Ohio State make the playoff after Ohio State won the inaugural national championship. The next 2 times that the Big Ten had representatives in, they literally got shut out back-to-back appearances. Right. Michigan State got shut out versus Alabama. Ohio State had the famous 31-0 game against Clemson. So getting teams into the playoff isn't just good enough for the Big Ten. They want to put the bet. If there's 2 teams that are eligible for the playoff, they're going to want to go with the best one. And the best one at that point, they would rather take their chances with Ohio State, obviously making the playoffs, even with the loss to Indiana. We're talking about a hypothetical that doesn't even exist right now. Right. Well, it is a hypothetical, but you know what I mean. So I don't know. So we'll see. But that is interesting. That's one of those debates we can have, but there's no proof to show who's right. But, I'm always right. So there you go. I'm always right. Kinner has never been wrong in the history of life. I'm 30 years old.
I got audio.
I'm 31. Holy smokes, I'm 31. Maybe
you forgot a year?
Maybe in year 31, I might experience what it's like to be wrong. I don't know. I got a pretty good streak going on. All right, everybody, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Big thank you to ESPN's Heather Dinich, who took time to join us for just a little bit to kind of give us the latest on what she's hearing from everything we are hearing, too, from her as well, Kev, that Ohio State, the Big Ten, they're in the Big Ten title. They're dotting I's, crossing T's, and just getting those final stamps of approval. So there is that. As far as we're just kind of waiting for the green light as far as what's next. I think the big question is have we officially ruled out Ohio State playing this Saturday at all against anybody? Indiana is no longer an option because Indiana, they shut down practices as well. So the Indiana-Purdue game is officially canceled this coming up Saturday, as we just discussed with Heather. So, yeah, I don't think Ohio State's playing on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I don't think they need to, because a 6-0 Big Ten champion, you can argue a 7-0 Big Ten champion is stronger than a 6-0, but there's still going to be a 6 or a 7-0 team compared to teams that have won 10, 11, 12 games. They're way behind the 8 ball as it is as far as games played. So I don't think we're
right. Yeah, they're not about to make up 4 games. Yeah. Be like, look, we played 10.
So playing one more game this weekend, that's more of you're risking losing, and winning that 7th game I don't think increases your chances at all. I don't think it's going to come down to, well, Florida beat Alabama. I think we're going to have to put Florida over Alabama, or we're going to have to put Florida in over Ohio State because, well, they're 6-0. If they would have just played one more game, that 7-0. No, I just think that the risk of playing another game, it's too much of a risk. I wouldn't do it.
Roll Tide beat Florida, so we don't even have to worry about it.
Oh, Brian Schwederman says, I saw who you dated in college. You were wrong often, Kinner.
Whoa.
He ain't lying either.
No, he is not. And I don't play those games.
He is not wrong. He is not wrong. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Let's open up the phone lines. 457-9464. How we feeling today, Buckeye fans? Yesterday, a lot of people were angry. They were upset. Right now, I feel pretty good because there's nothing else Ohio State can do between now and the Big Ten title game to basically improve their resume. There's not one thing they can do. So basically, these are the cards that we are dealt. We'll discuss when we come back. Plus, coming up in hour 2, we'll talk a little NFL. Of all the NFL teams who are not division leaders right now, take out all of the first place teams in each division, who are the best teams or who is the best non-division leader in the AFC and the best non-division leader in the NFC. We'll talk about that coming up. I'm stealing this, by the way, from Get Up earlier today. I thought it was a good topic, so we're going to jump in on that conversation coming up. The Dayton Dragons, by the way, congratulations to them. They got a promotion. I'll explain that coming up around the corner. It's good for them, and it's good for us here, all us baseball fans here in the Miami Valley. Plenty more to get into. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Home for the holidays, taking on a new meaning this year. Whatever your plans to celebrate, First Florist and Greenhouses can brighten your home with the holiday spirit. For gourmet baskets, holiday decorations, seasonal plants, and fresh cut flowers, your best choice is Dayton's largest family-owned florist and greenhouses. In business at the same location since 1905. First Florist and Greenhouses. In-store shopping at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton, curbside pickup, and convenient online shopping. Visit us at firsttheflorist.com. That's FURST, theflorist.com.
For the one standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
College football, it's the game you wake up early on Saturdays for, even though kickoff isn't until 7. The game where the Goodyear blimp becomes a Hall of Famer. The game that goes just beyond school, spirit, fandom, or love of the sport. It's the game where the comebacks happen. It's the game where anything can and will happen as long as you have the drive. Because college football is the game that moves you. We get it because it moves us too. Goodyear, more driven.
At Target, we know a good deal means a great deal. Now save more with Target Circle. This week through Saturday, save $10 when you spend $50 on top toys and games with Target Circle. Like LOL Super Surprise, Paw Patrol, Star Wars, Hot Wheels, and more. That's $10 off when you spend $50 on top toys and games, in-store and at Target.com. Save more with Target Circle. Join in the Target app or at Target.com/circle. Bring more to every moment for less. Only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Napa know-how. Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping and over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Panera's new flatbread pizzas are here. But to our new chef, Klaus, they're not just pizzas, they're masterpieces. Because it's not just cheese, it's hot and melty mozzarella and fontina cheese. It's not just sauce, it's market tomato red bell pepper sauce. And it's not just toppings, it's fresh mozzarella, basil, and grape tomatoes. Taste our 3 delicious new flatbread pizzas today. Order online for pickup or delivery. Panera. Restrictions apply.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buonasera.
Buonasera. How can I make the most of waiting for my next big vacation?
Translate your questions into goals by investing with Merrill Edge Self-Directed. It's more accessible than you think, with helpful planning tools plus free online stock and ETF trades, so you can keep practicing your pronunciation. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated. Registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Other fees may apply. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
This year, get a gift for the crew and something for you, too. Shop Lowe's in-store or at lowesforpros.com for brands like DeWalt, Metabo, HPT, Yeti, and more. While supplies last, U.S. only.
O'Reilly. Ready for an oil change? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts have everything you need and will recommend the best options for your car. Like 5 quarts of Castrol GTX conventional motor oil and a MicroGuard filter, just $27.99. Plus, earn double O Rewards points and get a $10 gift card after mail-in rebate. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the US that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Mary's Bistro delivery business is bustling and ready to burst.
Orders 34, 35, and 36 are up. Who's handling these? Hello, Mary's Bistro, now delivering.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Friggin' chicken chunks, friggin' chicken chunks, friggin' chicken chunks, friggin' chicken chunks. $29.99, 2 full pounds of friggin' chicken chunks. The 4 sauces too. The 4 sauces too. 4 sauces too. 4 sauces too. 4 sauces too. Friggin' chicken chunks.
Ring in the season with 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and get 5 frickin' bonus pucks free. The ho home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is Frickers.
Friggin' chicken chunks, 4 sauces too. Friggin' chicken chunks, 4 friggin' pounds, friggin' chicken chunks.
Listen to this radio station on the radio.com app. Connect with your favorite radio shows through contests, social media, and podcasts. Create custom alarms with your favorite radio stations, all free with the radio.com app.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
And we are back. Justin Kinno, Kevin Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. How about this news from earlier this afternoon? The Cincinnati Reds have invited the Dayton Dragons to continue their partnership. Now the Dayton Dragons have officially moved up from low A to high A, and that's quite significant in regards to the talent gap from what usually the Dragons get versus what they're now going to have more consistently, which is always a big deal because the one thing that this city has always done a fantastic job of is to support the Dayton Dragons to constantly fill up that stadium. And that's always, that's something I really missed this past summer. I definitely missed going to Great American Ballpark, once or twice a week when I could, but definitely the Dragons experience too, because it's one of those where most people go out there, they aren't fully necessarily following the baseball side of things, but it's just, they've done such a great job of just providing that game day atmosphere, that baseball atmosphere. But now you're going to start to get a lot of the bigger prospects for the Reds on a regular basis. With the Dragons before, a lot of times you get the occasional rehab start, or immediately following the draft, you get a little bit of time with those guys. Now you're going to start to see a lot of these guys further in their career. For instance, Daytona is the team that they've switched with. You would have had Jonathan India here, who is on the fast track to be on the Reds not opening day roster, hopefully opening day roster, but main roster here in the near future. So I did find that interesting. I think that's a big deal. And with a lot of teams kind of readjusting a lot of things due to the financial fallout from this past season. Again, no minor league baseball season, no fans in the stands, a shortened season from 162 to 60. Again, that's talking about the regular season for Major League Baseball. But again, you combine all of those elements of the no attendance, the no hot dogs, no beers, no vendors, no nothing. Clearly, baseball is trying to restructure. All these teams are going to be restructuring some things, and I think this makes sense. I've never been a fan of having way too many teams that you're distributing. I've always laughed at how many of these bodies actually have a true path to Major League Baseball. There's a lot of players who are just good enough to be able to take up a spot on the minor league roster, but how many of those guys are really on a true path to a Major League Baseball career? I'd rather have less minor league teams with actual guys playing with better guys around them who are playing in winning baseball mode, as opposed to, well, we don't really care about the score. We're just here to get guys some reps, basically. I've never been a fan of that. Schlemmer and I discuss that all the time. I know him and I were actually on different sides. He knows way more about baseball than me, so who am I to argue with him? But my mindset has always been, when it comes to minor league teams, why have so many teams out there filled with guys that have no shot of ever making it up to your main roster? Shrink that down, have less minor league teams filled with better talent, guys that actually might have a path to get there. And I feel like by having better talent around better talent, that just forces guys to
iron sharpens iron type of thing.
So I like this. I like this moving forward, especially selfishly for the city we live in, the Dragons.
Right.
I think it's going to be a huge plus for the organization as a whole.
Huge plus. Not only a plus for our organization, but it's a plus for us right here in our backyard. I attack it like from a macro situation where I know you look at it like where there's, hey man, you less players. That means you're getting the best of the best, and that's going to bring the best out of you. Iron sharpens iron. I just think of a situation as if we have a baseball team in our town, be it minor league, that means jobs for people in our city. That means things for us to do, places to take your kids and things like that. So I just look at it like that. I really never look at minor league baseball as like, all right, man, this guy, I'm going to see Joe Smith. And in like 5 years, he's going to be playing for the Reds. I always look at it as like, all right, man, hey, it's something to do on a Tuesday night. Oh, you got some tickets to the Dragons game? Oh, man, it's always a good time. Let's go get a beer, watch some baseball. Oh, they got a doubleheader. Let's go down there and have some fun. Then we go to this bar after that. Like, it's just like something for people in our city to do. So, and obviously jobs are always a good thing for people.
Robert Miller, bringing his intelligence to the conversation, says, let's talk about the integrity of the Big Ten and how they can arbitrarily change the rules. I'm assuming based on the profile picture, cute kid, by the way, but there's an Alabama hat in there, so I'm assuming this is coming from an Alabama fan. And he's mad because we're talking baseball. First of all, We've spent the entire show talking football to this point. This was a quick opening to the segment just to highlight the news that broke today about the damn Dayton Dragons. No disrespect to the Dayton Dragons, not damn Dayton Dragons, the Dayton Dragons. But this guy, Robert, has made me say damn. So you made me swear already. I was on no good roll today. I had my temper under control today after last night.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into that later.
So there's that. But yes, the Dayton Dragons did get a promotion. I think that's huge. I'm excited about that because I've always thought, Schlemmer always talks about, too, the significance of, a lot of times you have guys at AAA that just get a horrible experience that go, come all the way to low A for the Dragons, and they're getting a major league experience just from the amount of people that are in the stands, the quality of the ballpark. I mean, just it's pretty cool. I'm excited for the Dragons. It's exciting for the city, too. You never know what you have till you don't have it anymore.
Right.
And I think we all experienced that like last year. Like, I'm not going to pretend to sit there and act like I know every player on the Dragons roster.
I couldn't tell you one.
But I did hate that, at the spur of a moment, me and some friends that normally just call each other, hey, let's go get a beer and go to the Dragons. We couldn't do that this past summer. So I missed that. So I'm looking forward to that again coming up next summer.
Yeah, a little insight to my life. My wife she's a social worker in town, and they would take tons of kids down to the baseball games every year, multiple games a year. So, just those cool things for kids to experience and everything like that. I was getting them outside of their normal setting and doing cool stuff like that. That's what really broke me up about this entire summer, man. There were so many events that you and I work throughout the entire year that we weren't able to do this year, obviously with 4th of July and all the activities that we do for that, parades. It's just tons of things that we normally do that we take for granted that basically got taken away from us. And baseball was one of those things that got taken away from us as a fan's perspective. We were able to watch, the major league guys on TV, but, going to the baseball, it's an experience all onto itself. I would always love to rather go to a game than watch it on TV. Mm-hmm. I can go to any game, any baseball game. I'll go to anybody just to go to the game to have some fun, but I can only watch my team on TV, if that makes any sense.
I like to watch Reds games on TV because usually when the Reds are bad and Great American Ballpark's empty, I can yell at my TV and yell at David Bell. When I yell at David Bell at the game, I'm just some crazy guy in left field that they have to, escort out of the ballpark. So, this way I'm more safe in my own house. So there's that. So Robert Miller says, he said he was late. See, this is what I do. I'm always on the defensive. Last night I got destroyed on social media. So I'm on the defensive. So when I read people's responses on social media, I'm flinching a lot. I read people's responses. I read it as if they're attacking me. So I get defensive and I go back at them. So,
you defensive?
So Robert Miller, I apologize. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Justin Kinner. This is Kev Nash. You seem like a nice guy, and here I am being a big old bully. This is your first experience. I apologize. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he said he was late and that he will wait for a more optimistic response. But he did give us a roll tide. Now, Robert, I will say this.
Oh, for sure. Roll tide.
We are Buckeye fans here, but the one thing I do love about the show that we put on is that, regardless, we all have our teams. Some people get mad because I'm a Browns fan. Some people get mad because I don't, necessarily, I'm not a homer for some of the hometown teams. It is what it is. You can be a fan of any team you want. You can bring your opinion to the show. We'll discuss it. Now, Brandon, to go back to your question, let's talk, or not really question, statement. Let's talk about the integrity of the Big Ten and how they can arbitrarily change the rules. Robert, what's the biggest problem you have with what the Big Ten did? Because the Big Ten really didn't do anything other than take away a minimum gains requirement to get the team in the Big Ten championship that should be in the Big Ten championship. This isn't an elitist move of, Indiana beat Ohio State, but we want Ohio State in over Indiana, so we're going to move Ohio State in there over Indiana. This is the only team that was going to represent the East in the Big Ten title game was the one team that Ohio State beat, or was the only team that Indiana lost to. Ohio State should be in the Big Ten title game, and let's be clear, this makes sense. The SEC would do the same thing for Alabama, and it should, and I would be all for it. But this is the fun part about this. I knew anyone outside of Buckeye country was going to literally lose their minds over this, and that's basically the reaction that everyone is having. Man, I've seen people on social media say that the integrity of the entire sport has taken a hit because the Big Ten is changing the rules as we go. Are they right though? Would we? Now I'm sitting here saying the right things. I would be in favor if the SEC did it. Would we be saying it from an optics standpoint from us here in Dayton, Ohio? Would we be sitting here trying to sympathize with the SEC saying, now, guys, COVID-19, we got to just roll with the punches and let the SEC do what they do? From an optics standpoint, we would. So I'm not going to blame Roll Tide Robert Miller here for that either.
As a mass, no. But I think you and I are smart enough to understand that, like you talked about the other day, college football is a business. And these conferences owe it to the conference members to try to put in a representative from their conference. So they should do everything they have to do to get one of their top teams in there outside of, bag referee and stuff like that, blown calls and flat out cheating teams of winning games and stuff like that. We just saw it in the ACC with Clemson and Notre Dame. Like, Dabo demanded to have a bye week before the championship game. Dabo got a bye week. Like, I don't have no problem with that. They're trying to set it up to make sure they get a great game next weekend, and also potentially put two teams in the college football playoff. If Alabama or LSU, who are named your big time school from the SEC, was in that same predicament, the SEC should do that. They owe it to those conferences. Like, the breaking news, the schools, they actually pay these conferences to be in the conference. Like, it's not free to be in the SEC. It's not free to be in the Big Ten. Hey man, we're paying you a lot of money to make sure you do the right thing here. And the Big Ten's doing the right thing. And I trust me, I do feel bad for Indiana. Like, dang, man, the one time that you guys kind of could have snuck into the Big Ten championship game, kind of like, oh, man, by the way, you did lose to Ohio State, and we are going to pull that 6-game rule and put them in. Dang, we almost had it.
By the way, I'm always a huge fan of catchy hashtags. And this Vincent Waller guy on Facebook, he's some troll that made up a fake Facebook account just so he can come in here and yell at me. But this hashtag is pretty damn cool. Vincent, I'm sure you're a nice guy in real life. I'm sure you're not, a jerk like you come across on social media. I'm sure you're a nice guy in real life, but I am going to steal this from you. You're a funny guy. You're very creative. Where'd it go? Hashtag Kev Nash is cool. Hashtag Kenner a fool. I like that. I think that's good. Put it on a T-shirt.
I like it too.
We might take it. Now, he said a lot of other hashtag fire Kenner, hashtag unprofessional jackass. My hashtag dumb takes, hashtag UD hater, hashtag Baker's butt kisser. This guy, I love this guy. Like, I don't know. I wish he didn't hate me so much. I love people like this who are so angry. Like, I love this guy. This guy's pretty cool. Vincent Waller. Shout out to Vincent Waller.
Out of those, which ones are true?
Hashtag fire Kenner. That's not up for me. So I don't know. Unprofessional jackass. Maybe. Again, this is all up for interpretation. Come on. We're going to steal that. Hashtag Kev Nash is cool. Hashtag Kenner a fool. There you go. Put it on a T-shirt. TM.
I like that one. Really like that.
Shout out to you, Vincent. I know you don't like me. That's fine. It's totally okay. I still hope you have a very Merry Christmas. All right. What else we got? Doug Toby says a lot of Roll Tides on here. Are they Roll Tide fans or they hope Roll Tide beats Florida? Roll Buckeyes. So there you go. So things are heating up as we get closer and closer to the college football playoff. First of all, Buckeye fans need to be Alabama fans.
Facts.
We as Buckeye fans need to be doing the whole Roll Tide thing too. We can't afford for Urban Meyer's old stomping ground to take care of business in the SEC title game against Alabama. So yes, I'm going to give them a Roll Tide, at least for the time being. Right?
Absolutely. Come the 19th at 4:30 when they play. I'll be rooting for Alabama.
The Big Ten. Where's the SEC? Where's
Atlanta.
McKinney? Shout out to McKinney. I'm going to give you a Roll Tide. I'm going to give our new friend Robert Miller. I'm going to give him a Roll Tide. Bama Bryant. I'm going to give him a Roll Tide. There's lots of Roll Tides to go around. I'm going to be a Bama fan and supporter for the next couple of weeks, at least until they get past Florida. And then after that, you can go back to hating the Tide.
Okay, here's a little update. The Big Ten championship game obviously is set for next Saturday's Northwestern and most likely Ohio State. That game is at noon. Then at 4:00 it is Clemson and Notre Dame, which is going to be played in Charlotte. And then the SEC championship game, Bama and Florida at 8:00. So we got to wait all the way up until 8:00 before we know for sure if we're going to be in. Obviously, we have to win our game, but like that is kind of biting your nails situation. We got the early game or whatever. If we handle business like we're all expecting to handle business, we kind of sit there, because I don't think anybody out there really truly thinks that, like, if Florida wins, that they're not going to put in Florida and Alabama. Like, so we're going to have to wait all the way. We're really going to have to wait. They know what they're doing, man.
So
they know what they're doing. Like, you imagine the rating for that game, the Bama-Florida game, because everybody in Florida is going to be watching it. Everybody in Alabama is going to be watching it. And everybody in Ohio is going to be watching that game.
Well, this is just like 2 years ago when you had Georgia and Alabama both make it.
Right.
We needed Alabama to close that out. They didn't. That's what opened the door for them to get back in. So Chris Schultz messages in. He says, do we want to be a Notre Dame fan?
All right.
That's an interesting dilemma. For one, I can't stand. I don't know why I dislike Notre Dame more than Alabama. I think the reason I don't like Notre Dame more than I don't like Alabama is because at least Alabama has like a lot of national championships, and Nick said, it's always Ohio State and Alabama battling it out on the recruiting trail. Like Notre Dame, they always just seem to kind of sneak their way into the conversation by taking advantage of certain opportunities. Now, shout out to Notre Dame for taking care of Clemson, but no Trevor Lawrence, keep guys missing on the defense. Should we be a Notre Dame fan? Part of me says yes, just because that eliminates Clemson, that basically guarantees Ohio State to be in. But if Ohio State makes the playoff, I want Clemson in. I want Ohio State and Clemson in the national championship game, and I hope that however the seeding works out is that it keeps Ohio State and Clemson away from one another. So that's where I'm at with that. Should we be a Notre Dame fan, or should we be hoping for a Ohio State Clemson rematch? We'll answer that on the other side. We got the phone lines full.
Yeah, we're lit. We got Shaw, we got Dustin, we got McKinney, and the True American.
McKinney and the True American. Oh my goodness! By the way, my friends with the Browns backers, where'd they go? Here we go. Browns backers of Greater Dayton on Facebook. They said, hey, just reminding me that the Browns and Giants game was flexed into week 15. Mm-hmm. So Sunday night football, now the Cowboys 49ers moved up to 1. That has to be a win-lose for you. Just now the Cowboys are thinking my past, man. I'm all about the Browns until the Browns suck and the Cowboys are good, right? I'm just saying, look, who in life says
there he is again. Hey, look who's back. Lamar Jackson.
He ain't back. He played the Cowboys. He ain't back. Lamar Jackson.
I'm talking about back on the field after COVID and, being terrible. Man, look at him, just
back to being terrible. He beat a terrible team.
They won.
They beat a terrible team.
They won.
It's the Cowboys. Who cares?
Yeah,
next week they're going to lose.
And the Steelers lost to a terrible team. And the Seahawks
the Steelers are about as terrible as that damn ugly towel of theirs, too.
Oh. Feel so bad for you.
All right. Should we be rooting for Notre Dame, folks? Or do you want Clemson in the college football playoff? It's a dilemma. It's a weird dilemma. If the Buckeyes make the playoff, I want them to run into Clemson. It used to be about Alabama. Now it's about Clemson, because I would love to send Trevor Lawrence out with the loss, even though I still think Clemson wins the national championship. But I would love to see Ohio State Clemson go head-to-head. We'll be back in a moment. Hour 2 next.
They can bulge, go bald, wear down, flatten, or be in dire need of replacing. No, guys, it's not you. We're talking about your tires. Let Fat Boys get your car rolling again. Safe and sound. Fat Boys carries tires in all makes, styles, and sizes, including Continental, Goodyear, Michelin, and more. Check out Fat Boys' new location in North Dayton at the corner of Meadmore and I-75 or 3050 Springboro Pike in South Dayton. Fat Boys, your ultimate resource for wheels, tire service, and accessories. Look for Fat Boys at fatboysdayton.com.
Save on your next project today at Menards, your home improvement store. Menards carries a great selection of Master Force power tool accessories. We have what you need to take on whatever you're up against. We carry Master Force sandpaper, drill bits, hole saws, cutting wheels, and more. Save on everything for your next project right now at Menards. Good through December 20th. Plus, a Menards gift card is always a great gift idea.
More seasons, 360, you all from Menards.
You have empty office space to fill. You know what you need, and you know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places that what you need and what you'd like, that might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half price and below manufacturer's suggested prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really. Desks from $50 to $5,000. File cabinets, $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Outlet. With 87,000 square feet of selection,
You're not going to go anywhere else. Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. 2 locations. One at 23 McOil Street, Dayton. The other, Uniques Unlimited on South Dixie. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Saturday, 10 to 4.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
It's auction time again in North Lima, Ohio with home improvement products and building materials, and it's all online, ending this Tuesday at 12 noon. Go to pbauctions.com and register to bid on name brand home improvement products online. Kitchens, flooring, Anderson windows and doors, decking, unclaimed freight, and more, all sold online at pbauctions.com. Auction ends this Tuesday at noon, so we'll see you online at the auction.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the works package. We'll change the oil and filter, rotate the tires, check the brakes, test the battery, and check all the fluids and filters. Still starting at just $39.95. And ask us about our double take tire specials. Goodyear, Michelin, BF Goodrich, Kelly, and other quality tires. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
This year, get a gift for the crew and something for you, too. Shop Lowe's in-store or at lowesforpros.com for brands like DeWalt, Metabo, HPT, Yeti, and more. While supplies last, U.S. only.
The sweet smells of holiday have arrived. Sugar cookies, pumpkin pies, gingerbread, and the latest fragrances from Ulta Beauty. Get them as gift sets from Lancôme La Vie and Carolina Herrera, or perfectly purse-sized from Yves Saint Laurent and Marc Jacobs. Plus, when you spend $60 on fragrance, get a plush robe or throw to gift or to keep. Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. The holidays are here. Let's see the joy all season long. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
Just close your eyes.
Boo, you already got me an iPhone SE from Cricket.
Okay. Open.
A caribou.
It's a reindeer, dear.
In North America, it's called a caribou, Boo.
No way.
Well, I love my new iPhone SE and my new caribou. What's it mean?
It's caribou.
Get the iPhone SE for $49.99 when you switch. Smile. You're on Cricket.
Ends 1/7/21. Excludes upgrades and AT&T points. Limit 2 phones per customer. Activation fee $25 per line and additional one-time fees. $4 customer assistance fee may apply, subject to change.
Sales are rising quickly, but without another lead baker, Dale's Bakery is going to feel the heat.
Hey, you're baking alone today. I have to handle this order for the restaurant down the street. Cool, but who's going to handle the pastries?
He needs to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save for driving safely. Save for driving less with pay-per-mile insurance. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. Savings based on early signing, discount drive-bys, and mile less. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Tie ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball to point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it's
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers basketball fans can't make it to the arena this season, but want to experience a safe electric college game day atmosphere? Timothy's Bar and Grill is the spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers!
This year, get a gift for the crew and something for you, too. Shop Lowe's in-store or at lowesforpros.com for brands like DeWalt, Metabo, HPT, Yeti, and more. While supplies last, U.S. only.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
So I'm a little concerned about the Browns and Ravens matchup coming up next week. No, not concerned as in, oh man, do we have a shot to win? I think we're going to win. I hate saying we. I think the Browns will win. I know. I did. I just broke my rule. I hate
DB.
You know, people. I think we got a shot to what? No. So I think the Browns are going to beat the Ravens.
It is we. It's your team.
So
I don't have no problem with that.
Yesterday, before the Ravens-Cowboys game, this is strange. So Des Bryant has returned to Dallas.
Oh, man.
Was it in Dallas?
No, I was in Baltimore.
So it's the first time he faced his old team, regardless. So he faces his old team. He heads to the stadium. He's ready to go. Finds out moments before that, he's tested positive. Now, we've seen these NFL games be kicked all over the place because of positive tests and having to push games back, all of that. Well, there's video of him surfacing of him hugging old teammates. He's going up to all these old Cowboys and hugging all his old former teammates and just guys he knows within the organization. When he's getting to the stadium, he shaking hands with his teammates, and there's this video surfacing everywhere. But he finds out that he's tested positive. They make him leave. So the thing is, I'm a little concerned about this Browns-Ravens matchup because now I'm like, well, it's only a matter of time before, if it starts spreading again. And then that Browns-Ravens, we're going to have like Friday night football or something between the Browns and the Ravens. Who knows? Look, but I did think that was like a weird look. It was a very weird look for the NFL.
Yeah.
Who, for that reason right there, I mean, literally, especially when they have, the optics are good too. When he just tests positive, but he's out shaking hands with everybody before the game. Then they tell him he has it. Then he has to leave. Then the game goes on as planned. I'm not saying I wanted to cancel, but it is just a strange look. And then again, especially moving forward, if there are positive tests that come out of it, who knows? But you don't know that it came from that handshake. You don't know that it
Yeah, you're right, man. Like the conspiracy theorists will have a field day with this one. There's a million ones to look.
That's why the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. COVID.
Actually,
they still have a shot to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they have
that damn division.
Goodness gracious, I think it's down to 1% now, though.
Trash.
But that and like they didn't want Dez to face his old team, and then the Baltimore still dealing with COVID issues on their team. Like it's not gone. It's just like, all right, we have enough people to play now, so. It's just a cluster, man. I really hope that game gets played this weekend. That's a primetime matchup, man. I can't wait for that game.
Yep. Ravens, Browns. And after the first matchup between the two, with how ugly that was, I was dreading the part two. I was dreading part two between the Browns and Steelers, but maybe the Browns, they did what you're supposed to do, get better throughout the year. But we'll get more into that coming up in a moment. I do want to here shortly discuss looking at the NFL landscape. If you look at the division leaders, take all the division leaders out, who is the best teams in each conference in each division remaining? Not by division, but I'm sorry. So in the AFC, take all the division leaders out. Mm-hmm. Who are the best AFC teams not leading the division right now? The best AFC team not leading is it the Browns? Is it the Ravens? We'll get to that. Same thing on the NFC side. We'll get to that coming up on the call. Let's get to the phones. 457-9464. We've had a lot of college football, some NFL, some baseball news. Kev, who we got?
We got McKinney.
McKinney, welcome in. Roll Tide. I'll give you that. We got all got to be collectively big Alabama fans. You guys got to beat Florida. You got to do that for the Buckeyes.
31-0. We do nothing for Buckeye. SEC wins. SEC wins for the entire conference.
Ugh.
Ohio State, Big Ten people, you guys only care about Ohio State. Wah, wah, wah. When there's going to be, when the selection committee gets ready to start picking people, and you guys will be ready. You'll have all your faces painted, your Buckeye gear around your neck, jerseys of people that's been off the team for 45 years. And then you will realize that when you go, oh, wait, I'll be saying, uh-oh, y'all ain't in it.
But if you beat Florida, they're in it. If you you don't realize that you're part of the Buckeye crew now. Like Buckeyes in Alabama, you guys are on the same role on the same team. You just don't realize it, but you are. I mean, you're technically a part of the Buckeyes right now.
Well, I consider myself kind of a little bit of what I would call an aquaneck. I like being around water.
Yeah.
And there's a thing called a boat race. When you have a boat race, you don't look what's behind you. You don't care.
But think about the irony here, McKinney. The irony of Alabama beating Florida to get Ohio State in the college football playoff, then that'll set up 1 versus 4, Ohio State, Alabama. Then the team that you helped get in knocks you out. How devastating would that be?
It wouldn't be devastating for me at all. I would enjoy the story of the day. You guys need to start practicing. Man, we'll get them next year. Remember that time back in 2020? The only thing that was really screwed up, that Ohio State was in a conference that didn't want to start on time like everybody else, that didn't understand protocols and policies and procedures like everybody else, and just decided to cancel everything. And then they go, wait a minute, we just lost $1.8 billion. Oh my God, let's have a protest. Let's go to the shoe.
Now
you get to the shoe, then you find out that maybe we can get this thing started back. And then you put an independent policy in place, and now you want to buck the policy. Now it's like saying there's no snacks in the movie theater, and you guys have got your girl taking in some 16-ounce Budweisers and a bag of skiing. It can't happen like that.
I'm supposed to tell you that Doug, I'm assuming his name is Sphere. Doug Sphere says, tell my brother from another mother, McKinney, that I say Roll Tide with him. Where are all these Roll Tide fans coming? I mean, you guys are multiplying. Good for you, McKinney.
Well, Doug was part of the original crew when the shows first started and during Alabama. Now with the streaming thing, man, they're all over the place. You got people in Arizona, you got T-Watt in Nebraska, Doug in Alabama. It's worldwide, man. Just think about it.
I do got a question for you, McKinney.
People all over there that will be having the same problem with Ohio State. The Roll Tide is not everywhere. I can wear an Alabama hat or an Alabama sweatshirt, and no matter where I go, no matter what city I'm in, somebody will hit me with a Roll Tide. I have never heard anybody just walking around just all of a sudden just break out into an OH. Well, but you will this week when you get OH. Uh-oh, we didn't get in.
McKinney, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So you talked about us only caring about Ohio State not being Big Ten fans. I am a strong proponent of that. Like, I'm a person that doesn't believe in rooting for the conference because I don't get anything out of the conference. Did you get a championship ring last year because LSU won the national championship?
No. I got a great story about my team, the Cincinnati Bengals, who's going to have the first round draft pick.
Got it.
That was the only thing I cared about. Alabama, Red, Bengals, Boston Celtics. That's it. Anything else is just a sports storyline.
Got it.
Those are the only ones that when they lose, it does bother me. I stay for at least 48 hours, and I am physically wounded and down from a loss from any of those 4 teams.
We have coworkers here that back when we were working in the building, McKinney, no kidding, it seems like forever ago. Like when Ohio State would lose, we would literally have salespeople that would call off for a day or two because they were just so devastated for the Buckeyes lost. So I believe you like that. Like, it's crazy. Like, I get upset when my teams lose, but I've never been that devastated to where I've had to feel like I have to call off work. So that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I would never call off work, but when you watch it, man, you gotta make that money. So
I was gonna say, that. I was like, what is that?
Hey, man, suck it up.
You gotta get paid. You gotta get paid sitting on the couch watching.
Yeah. All right, McKinney, great hearing from you as always. I hope you're doing well.
I am. I am walking along Wolf Creek with my dog, smoking a Partagas cigar, talking to you guys on the phone.
Appreciate you.
We appreciate you listening and calling. Thank you. Oh, we didn't get to hear him say goodbye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You cut him off. McKinney, I'm going to do it for you. McKinney always likes to do the sign off, do the nice little Roll Tide.
Oh, my bad.
So shout out McKinney. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you calling. But yeah, folks, like that's the thing. I'm going to welcome the Roll Tide here over the next couple of weeks. We all have to be big Alabama fans. Alabama needs to beat Florida. If Florida beats Alabama, that's it. Now you could say, well, Florida can beat Alabama, then you get Florida, Alabama in. Clemson beats or Notre Dame beats Clemson. Clemson's out. Boom. There is Ohio State. There's that scenario. But again, I think things are going to end up being with the way they're supposed. Clemson's going to be favored over Notre Dame. So we need to make sure that Florida or that Alabama takes care of Florida because that's really where things get rocky. Mm-hmm. If Florida beats Alabama and Clemson beats Notre Dame, that's it. We're going to be talking about a matchup with Cincinnati and some New Year's Six Bowl because you know that's what they're going to do. So there's that. 457-9464.
I can taste the bitterness right now.
Schultz says that if Notre Dame loses, they are out. Chris, I think they have the best win right now. Who has the best win in the country? I think Notre Dame has the best. So, Chris, I disagree because I've noticed he's been dropping this the last couple of days. I really don't see them if they lose. Now, Chris, to be fair, if they lose by a field goal or a touchdown or one possession, I still think they're in even with the loss. So I disagree. I do think they're in even with the loss. But if they get blown out, by, and again, what's the line as far as what's considered a blowout? Not 11 points. I don't want to hear that joke enough. 14. We're talking 14. Talking about two possessions is 10. If you lose by 10, is that too many for Notre Dame to get in? Notre Dame, if they lose, it needs to be close. That's kind of where I'm at with that. But you can't let Clemson get in, who lost to Notre Dame, and then punish Notre Dame for losing to that same team that they beat earlier in the year.
So what's the cutoff? What's the cutoff if Clemson beats Notre Dame by X amount of points that they're out?
That they're out? Say that again?
If Clemson beats Notre Dame by 14 plus, 17 plus, 21 plus, Notre Dame is out.
Notre Dame. Well, that's what I was asking. 10. I was dropping. No, you're good. You were taking care of that. I'm sorry.
We were asking each other the exact same question. My bad.
It's like 10. If they only lose by 10, whatever. The thing is, you got to look the part. That's what Georgia had to do a few years ago. Was when they lost to Alabama in the SEC title game. They didn't even have to beat Alabama. They just needed to look like they were on the same level playing ground, right? Like that's Notre Dame's approach. Of course, your approach is to go into that matchup to win. But if you're going to lose, you better lose close because you can't be blown out or you're just totally kaput. Now, Schultz says, so 2 1-loss teams are in over OSU. If Notre Dame.
I mean, they've shown that those.
Technically, they'd be 3 1-loss teams.
Yeah. If Florida's in.
Well, it would be 4 1-loss teams. Yeah. Holy smokes, that would be interesting. That scenario would be interesting. 4 1-loss teams would make the playoff if Florida and Clemson win close ones.
I think it's showing where their respect level for Ohio State opponents are this year and the amount of games that they played this year. They're putting in teams ahead of them that have a loss in Clemson, and then obviously Notre Dame and Alabama. Like, you got to think about it. Alabama, as much as I kind of like rag on Jimbo and everything that he's got going on, at the end of the day, Texas A&M is ranked number 5, and Alabama did blow them out, So like they also have some good wins, and something that I definitely noticed, like all that stuff. Like remember, like week 3, everybody's like, "Man, Alabama's defense sucks. Alabama's defense. Look what Ole Miss did to them. Look what Alabama's been doing lately." On defense,
getting better as the year goes on.
It
was like last year, Clemson only beating North Carolina by 1,
right?
And they wanted them not only out of the playoff but out of Division I college football altogether. I mean, Buckeye fans were screaming from the rooftop. They only beat North Carolina by 1. They should be knocked out of the playoff just for that, for winning, because they didn't win pretty enough. I mean,
in a normal year where everybody's playing, 12, 13 games. No, undefeated Ohio State's going to get in there over a 1-loss team from the ACC or whatever. But this isn't a normal year. And that's what makes this year so crazy. Like, Notre Dame has some good wins. They had like everybody ahead of Notre Dame. Everybody ahead of Ohio State has better wins. And as a matter of fact, teams below them have better wins than them. If you're just judging by how the CFP has their rankings, the only win Ohio State is hanging their hat on is Indiana. And Indiana is number 12. But Alabama has beaten Georgia. Indiana has beaten Texas A&M. Florida has beaten.
You said Indiana beat Georgia?
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I got it mixed up.
That threw me. I was literally playing that back in my head. I'm like, what in the world?
The only good win Ohio State has is Indiana.
Yep.
But Bama has beaten Georgia. They have beaten A&M. You know what I mean? So those wins right there.
Blowout wins, too.
Yeah, blowout wins. So those wins alone right there, I mean, you look at Notre Dame, they beat Clemson, they beat North Carolina. So, these teams have wins over us. And shoot, Clemson has a win over number 10 Miami. So everybody has better wins than us right now. So it's not inconceivable to believe that if Notre Dame loses to Clemson by 7 and Florida beats Alabama by 7, that all those teams are going to be in ahead of us. Like, I would hate it. Of course I would hate it. But they're showing you right there. They're showing you the blueprint right there. We don't have enough wins. We don't have enough big wins.
It's not just enough big wins, not enough games. I heard Peter Burns with the SEC network, so of course people are this is going to go in one ear out the other. But he brought up a good point. To sit there and just assume that Ohio State would boat race their entire schedule in a regular season, that's irresponsible because, like again, only playing 6 games this year. 5 technically, 6 with the Big Ten title game. Go back to 2017 when they lose to Iowa. Wasn't that a Week 8 game?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you're going to get into the college football playoff with only 6 games. But you lost a game in Week 8 a few years ago in a game that you were better than that opponent on paper. Purdue, that was Week 7. That was later in the season, too. They lost a game late in the season that on paper better than that opponent. So,
you were there.
I was there. The point being is that Ohio State just waving the excuse of, well, we're the best team in our conference. Like,
right.
Well, of course, we're even if we played all 10 games, 10, 11, 12 games, we're going to win them all. The problem is the more you play, I think that's why you would potentially have 4 one-loss teams make it over a 6-0 Ohio State team, because to sit there and say, well, it's not Ohio State's fault that they didn't get 10 games in. Well, a lot of those teams that have 1 losses, I'm sure they would love to take that week off their schedule. If they had the choice of only playing 5 or 6 weeks, they would make sure to take off some of those weeks too that could have potentially made them vulnerable to a loss. So keep that in mind as well.
How high can Ohio State get?
How high can they fly?
How high can they get up in the rankings?
How high can they? 4. I don't think they will not be ranked any higher than 4.
Goodness.
No, I don't see if they get in. They're battling for the 4th spot.
Goodness.
Eric Pugh says, since when is A&M a good win? Laugh my ass off. I mean, okay, if you're going to come in laughing your ass off, at least bring some sense in here. Look, I'm not a big A&M fan, but let's be clear. I mean, right now it comes down to where are they at within the rankings. And if you have a blowout win over an opponent that's as high in the rankings as they are, I'm sorry, that is a good win.
Yeah, we can only go off the rankings that they give. We can't just voice our personal opinions in this and say, oh, they're trash and that's that. Well, you know what? We don't have a vote in the rankings. All we have is our opinions. And according to the college football playoff, Texas A&M is the 5th best team in the country. And they have a win over Florida, who is the 6th ranked team in the country. So, I mean, that's why.
And, Kevin's all about that transitive property.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
All right, 457-946 for Kev. Who else do we got?
We have, I believe this is Rob.
Rob, what's up? Welcome.
Roll Tide. What's up, my friend?
Another Roll Tide. My goodness, this is
taking over.
This is the SEC network. This is Dayton's SEC network.
That means you're for a fine bomb.
Yeah, I've been called that in money.
You're a fine bomb.
All right, what do you got? What do you got for us?
I'm just curious as to why we're not going to discuss the integrity issue and the Big Ten.
Oh, this is Rob from the Facebook, Rob, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's the picture?
See, in your voice too, you sound like an SEC fan. You just have that sound to you. I like this caller. He just has that SEC sound. So keep going. You were asking, questioning the integrity of the Big Ten or bringing that to light.
Right. They put in a protocol.
Okay.
They all vote on it. They all agree to it. All of a sudden, it goes backwards, and they're like, "Oh man, we have to change the rule arbitrarily. Let's do this. Okay? The irony that I'm seeing in this whole situation is what if they get into that championship game and what if they lose?
Well, then they're out.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty simple. So I also have already thought about the 4-1 loss teams in the playoffs.
Yep.
And they can very easily be 2 Southeast Conference teams and 2 Atlantic Coast Conference teams. Very easily. I don't think that there's a blowout, close game, anything. I think if Clemson beats Notre Dame and Alabama's going to beat Florida, then those are your 4 teams that are right back in the championship.
Who are the 4 then? Because if Alabama beats Florida, like you say, that's 2 losses for Florida. They're out. Are you saying Texas A&M would then all of a sudden slide in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had that backwards. I said I meant
you think Florida
beats Alabama.
Okay. Well, that is the worst case scenario if you are a Buckeye fan, which I know you're not really worried about Buckeye fans, but for Buckeye fans, that is the worst case scenario that could happen that day.
It absolutely is. Also, while we're talking about college football, let's talk about the Heisman Trophy. See that Justin Fields is no longer part of that conversation.
Man, you're bringing the heat, man. You're bringing the heat today. Yeah, look, I've never been one that I really got too fired up about the Heisman Trophy. My thing was, look, he's going to – that Indiana game killed his Heisman chances to begin with. But he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and if they're going to win a national championship, it's going to be because of him, and they just need to be out on the field. Kev?
I think that everything hinges on the SEC championship game. Everything hinges on that game. The Heisman Trophy is going to be won that game between Mac Jones or Kyle Trask. Whoever wins that game is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner.
So what you're trying to say is that the SEC championship game has got more than just a championship vibe. It's got, hey, one of these guys is going to win the Heisman Trophy. But, I just would hate to see Kyle Trask, who's the only offense that Florida has. They scored 6 rushing touchdowns all year.
Mm-hmm.
Najee Harris has 3 times that many. Okay?
Well, that sounds like a deficiency.
He has to throw the ball. He has to do what he has to do. To me, he is absolutely the most valuable player on Florida's team.
Yeah.
Without Trask, Florida's not. They're a 500 team.
Yeah, he's thrown like almost 40 touchdowns this year. I know the kid Tony. They also have the Ohio State transfer as a wide receiver on their team. They're a potent passing team. They got a tight end that's going to go in the first round in Pitts. They're a team to be reckoned with on offense. Their defense isn't the defense of back in the days where Herb was there and everything like that. But Florida, this is going to be a great game. I'm here for it. I always tell everybody, I'm an Ohio State fan. I don't really care what any other Big Ten team does. Only game that I care that Ohio State plays in is all of them. But every other game that I'm watching during the college football season, be it Alabama versus Florida, Bama versus LSU, Northwestern versus Indiana, I'm just here to be entertained. So whomever wins that game, in a normal situation, I could care less. But since I need Bama to win this game to make sure Ohio State is in the playoff, I am rooting for Alabama.
Well, you're allowed to root for Alabama. They opened them up as a 14-point favorite already.
Over Florida?
That game already has a line on it.
Oh, interesting. Well, because they're locked, right? Both teams are locked, so that's why they have a line out too. Are you a betting guy?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I bet from time to time.
No, not bet me. I didn't know. I don't place bets with people, So I'm just interested. Now, here's the deal. I'm looking at all this, and Doug Toby just put on Facebook. He just messaged it on the show, just the way you did a little bit ago, Rob. There shouldn't even be a Heisman this year. If so, let's put an asterisk by it. What is your thought? It's a Buckeye fan. Doug Toby's a nice guy, but he has Brutus, a Buckeye, as his picture, and it's peeing on the Michigan M. I mean, you could tell that he's a true Buckeye fan. When you hear a Buckeye fan say that, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts on a Buckeye fan saying that?
Yeah.
Buckeye fans are Buckeye fans. They're kind of like Alabama fans.
I agree.
You took that in a different direction. I was trying to stir the pot, and you totally ruined it.
Fans are fans.
Sorry. I mean, I can stir the pot. I mean, that's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm stirring the pot. I said I'm busy.
Yeah, you're good. But here, Rob, what are you making? What are you making now? You're SEC guy. What are you making?
Oh, you really want to know?
Yeah.
I'm having baked cod loins with fresh carrots
and
red potatoes.
Man, that's so SEC. Man. That's
Fresh
so
cod
SEC.
loins.
There you go. All right. Hey, Rob, great hearing from you. Thank you.
All right, you'll get back with me. Don't worry. You have a good one.
Take care. You know what's funny? Bama fans, some years they're quiet. They'll call in every once in a while. They're extra loud this year. They're coming in numbers.
Coming in hot.
And it's funny because if Ohio State makes the playoff, that's who they're playing.
Right.
Well, you asked me about Ohio State's ceiling earlier. It's 4. I don't think they will be ranked any higher than that. Do you see a scenario? I mean, let me return the question. I mean, where do you see them go? They're not going to put a 6-0 team any higher than 4. 6-0 is why they're even fighting for the playoff to begin with, because if they were 9 or 10, 11-0 right now, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. Clemson would be battling out for that 4th spot.
Give me a second. I got to think about it, but I did want to put this out there to everybody. The Big Ten has announced that it's removed the 6-game requirement to be eligible for the conference title game. Ohio State will now face Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, you guys happy now?
We're in there. Look in there.
But no game so far as of this. I don't think they're playing again.
Yeah, there's no need to play.
There's no need to play.
If you're going to play in the Big Ten championship game next week, there's no need to try to force a game this week. I mean, shoot, there's nobody to play. You know what I mean? There's nobody to play. Indiana and Purdue got COVID. Michigan got COVID. Just go ahead, rest up, heal up, prepare for this Big Ten championship game, and win the game, most importantly, and then prepare for the college football playoff.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash. We will be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly clear with a high near 50. Tonight's also going to be clear with a low around 28. And tomorrow will be mostly clear with a high near 52. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
I'm Charla. I'm a Park National banker, and I'm a new grandma. At Park National Bank, we believe that we're more than our job titles, and you're more than an account number. Now, bringing our family of community banks together under a single brand name means you get those core values you always counted on from us, and more service, more access, and more options. We're all together now at Park National Bank, where you mean more.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the US that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Mary's Bistro delivery business is bustling and ready to burst.
Orders 34, 35, and 36 are up. Who's handling these? Hello, Mary's Bistro, now delivering.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dealing with battery problems? We can help you out and get you ready for the colder weather ahead. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a free charge, we can help with that too. And if it's time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
The radio in your dash is more than radio. That Sirius XM button is instant access to a world of exclusive entertainment, including ad-free music channels for every genre and decade. You can also hear your favorite sports, comedy, talk, and news. Plus, you can stream with the Sirius XM app on your phone and connected home devices. And there's never been a better time to listen. Subscribe now and get your first 12 months for $5 a month with a new select subscription. Fees and taxes apply. Go to SiriusXM.com to learn more.
Mrs. Claus here. I used to shop online. Now I save money by getting fun and exciting gifts from a locally owned small business that beats Amazon. Where? At the Hobby Shop near the Dayton Mall. The Hobby Shop has the hottest radio-controlled cars and trucks by Axial and the coolest radio-controlled boats from Pro Boat. Keep your money local and save over the big guys by going to the Hobby Shop. The Hobby Shop, a quarter mile north of the Dayton Mall, directly across the street from Lowe's, next to Ollie's. For your safety in these COVID times, the Hobby Shop offers curbside pickup. Call 937-436-6161.
Is the cost of finishing your basement worth the benefit of some peace and quiet?
When questions find you, Merrill Edge Self-Directed Investing can help you find answers with personalized planning tools and insights to help you get where you want to go, even if it's just downstairs. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated. Registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
At JCPenney's Mystery Sale, merry savings await this Thursday to Sunday. So hurry in to find out how much you can save. You could get a Peel and Reveal coupon for an extra 30, 40, or even 50% off in our in-store giveaway. Use it to save on family outerwear, cozy sleepwear, and more. And everyone gets an extra 30% off at jcp.com. Need it fast? Pick up your order curbside. Joy, comfort, peace. JCPenney. Coupon valid 12/10 to 12/13. Giveaway in-store only while supplies last. Must be 18 or older. Excluding supply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Friggin' chicken chunks, friggin' chicken chunks, friggin' chicken chunks, friggin' chicken chunks. $29.99 each and 4 pounds of friggin' chicken chunks. 4 sauces too, 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 friggin' chicken chunks.
Bring in the season with 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks. Buy a $25 Frickers gift card and get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. The ho-ho home for fun, food, sports, and spirits is Frickers.
Friggin' chicken chunks, 4 sauces too, friggin' chicken chunks, 4 friggin' pounds, chicken chunks.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the US that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen, and save space in your cabinet? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
On any day in December, Pizza Hut can give to you
the Triple Treat Box, 2 pizzas, breadsticks, and Cinnabon mini rolls. Order online at pizzahut.com. No Without Pizzas The Hut. Exclusions apply. Combinability of discounts, specials, prices, and participation vary. Additional charge for extra toppings and crust.
This year, get a gift for the crew and something for you, too. Shop Lowe's in-store or at lowesforpros.com for brands like DeWalt, Metabo, HPT, Yeti, and more. While supplies last, US only.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kenner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So a little bit ago, Eric Pugh had asked, why do we keep considering A&M good? Since when is A&M a good win? Of course, talking about Alabama's win over Texas A&M, who blew them out earlier in the year. Now, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing. I think we're all saying we agree, but at the same time, regardless of whether you think that opponent and where they're ranked is good or not, the committee is looking at how many top 25 wins you have. Alabama has 3 top 25 wins. That's more than any other team in the college football playoff race at the moment. Indiana also has 3 top 25 wins, but they are not in the race. Like I just think that the gap in how they kind of perceive things is just so wide. Eric Pugh says A&M is no better than a win on Indiana. They are ranked well because of this year. Haven't been in the top 20 in years, I believe. That's not true. They were top 25 last year. They're always top 25. They're just never usually in the playoff race. Right. So COVID year, they become a top program. I mean, they're a good, solid program. But Eric, I'm not arguing with you. I actually agree with you. Right now, I'm saying that they are a good win because they are ranked number 5th in the country, and I don't care who you are. When you have when the resumes are out scattered across the table in front of the College Football Playoff Committee, when they are looking at that, and you have a win over the number 5 team in the country, that's a good win. So, yes, that is definitely a good win. But I'm looking at their resume. They have a win over Florida, and that's it. Outside of that, everything else is just very subpar. I mean, there's really nothing there. There's nothing of substance. The team you're trying to convince us you're a top 4 team, but when you play the top 4 team, you got boat raced. So that's where I feel like you can lose. Had they lost by a field, like you lost to Florida 41-38, or you beat Florida 41-38, that's a good loss for Florida, that being their only loss. But would Florida still be in the mix if they would have lost to Texas A&M 52-24? No.
Right.
But what you're saying is, well, you can get blown out against Alabama because it's Alabama. But Indiana loses by 1 possession to Ohio State, and they're just totally punished. How do you have 3 top 25 wins if you're Indiana? You're only lost by 1 possession to Ohio State, and you're not even in the top 10. But you have Texas A&M, who has no top 25 wins outside of the Florida game, and you've been boat raced by the other team that you played. It doesn't make any sense, the hypocrisy and how that's perceived.
That's the other thing about college football, man. There's always a moving target about situations like, some people argue, say like, you got these wins, and then they count them as ranked wins when those teams are ranked. So when they were ranked, all these wins at Indiana were great, but currently they only have 1 good win because the only ranked win now is Wisconsin. You know what I'm saying? So going into the season, you look at it like, oh man, no, you look at all these wins that they have, but currently right now, all they have, quote unquote, is the Wisconsin win. For me, I think Indiana is getting jobbed here. I think Indiana and UC are the biggest jobs on here. Like, I think they're getting played to the left so bad.
Who?
Indiana and UC.
Oh, UC, no. They're not getting played. Indiana's getting played. Indiana has substance to their resume.
Yeah, for sure. But I you know me, I put a lot on winning games and everything like that.
It's easy to win games when you play nobody.
I'm not saying that UC should be ahead of Indiana or A&M or Florida or anything like that. But I think,
so they're about where they should be then. It sounds like they're doing pretty good. It sounds like they're not being hosed.
They're being hosed.
They're not being. How are they being hosed? Where should they be though?
Do we do our rankings this week?
No, not yet. But real quick, so if they're 8th, you're arguing they should be 7th. That's hosed because you're 1 spot back than where you think they should be.
Yes. I think I do have them 7th.
We'll get to our rankings.
I think I gotta look. Maybe I do know. Maybe I don't even have them 7th.
So I'm with you about Indiana, but Cincinnati, I'm like, they're. I don't know. Hey, real quick, let's do a call before we take this break again. Who we got? Give me anybody.
We got JB.
JB, you still there, my friend?
Yes, I'm still here. What's going on, fellas?
How are you, sir? What do you got for us?
I cannot complain. Well, first of all, I'm most definitely not mad at the Big 12. I'm not mad at the Big 10, but I am mad at the NCAA. We wouldn't have this problem, and I'm an Ohio State fan, but we would not have this problem. We wouldn't hear Brussels if the NCAA had came out and laid down basic guidelines for all of the Power 5 conferences. Because everybody just kind of did what they wanted to do. And now you having turmoil. Now we're sending rules for one team to get in, which I understand. At the end of the day, it's big business. It's very big business. But NCAA should have laid down ground rules or ground policies for everybody. Therefore, we wouldn't have this problem. If the NCAA had said 6 games, 5 games, whatever, and that's just what it was. There's no trying to jump teams, do whatever the case may be.
But JB, this is the problem with college football in general. All these conferences work independently. The NCAA can't tell them what to do because conferences work independently. All they can give is, outlines and say like, hey, if you guys want to participate in our championship, which is the college football playoff, you have to meet these criteria, like eligibility wise, like player wise, and, drug testing policies. They can't tell the conferences how to run their conference. The conferences work independently.
And, that takes me to my other point. Like, and I heard grumblings of this. This college football season showed us everything that's wrong with the NCAA in college football. College football did that by itself, showed us everything that's wrong with it. And I've been hearing grumblings. I don't know how true this is about college football just becoming its own entity, not even have to follow any NCAA guidelines, completely breaking off.
Well, real quick, the reason that can't happen, look how much of it, like they had their chance to unify to accomplish something great this year. Their ego, like when people always bring that up, JB, I always laugh, not at you necessarily, I'm just saying, I laugh when people bring that up because everyone's like, oh, this is the year to prove that that's what's going to happen. No, this was the year to prove that it can't happen. They can't get along. They can't work together. Their commissioners couldn't even come together to collaborate to be able to come up with at least a Power 5 pattern or model that would make sense to where everyone could play everyone and at least be on the same guidelines. Everyone went conference only so that they could be in control of their conference and control of their money. They proved that money is why that they will never all work together. So I know it sounds fun, like, oh, Power 5, they'll just start their own league. All of those, it's back in the day like wrestling, all those independent promotions. They could have all combined and worked together, but no, they never did. Vince McMahon goes, he swoops in, gets all the promotions. He has the best promotion out there. I can't believe I'm using a wrestling analogy there, but that's what they have to do. You have all these really good independent scenes, the SEC, the Big Ten, whatever, but if they would all come together for one and all work together, they would be bigger and better than what they already are. But their egos are why that will never happen.
Good word.
And another thing, real quick, Kev, you said something earlier about, you're an Ohio State fan and why should you root for the Big Ten or why should you root for your division? Because times like this, it's a possibility we may have 2 SEC and 2 ACC teams in the college football playoff. And it's really because of the clout that the conferences carry. When you hear SEC, you think of more than just Alabama. When you hear ACC, you think of more than just Clemson. But when you hear Big Ten, all you think of is Ohio State.
That's a good point.
They should rename the Big Ten the Ohio State League because when you hear Big Ten, all you think of is Ohio State. But how many times over past years out of the SEC, like you've had multiple teams that were in it, or out of the ACC, multiple teams that were in it, and then Big Ten just some way, somehow, some years them played each other out of it, but our name doesn't carry that count. That's why everybody's Texas A&M is not a good win. Yeah, it is, because they're part of the SEC. Even if you go and play, even Cincinnati, let's say Cincinnati went and played all the scrubs.
And you got 20 seconds, JB. I hate to wrap you up. 20 seconds.
Okay. Let's say Cincinnati went and played all the scrubs in the SEC. Cincinnati would be number 1 in the country. Even though they played the worst teams in the SEC, the names that they carry of the SEC is what will get them there. Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Good point. No, that's why I brought up, too, we talked about our rankings. I have Coastal Carolina in my top 10. Way higher than yours, by the way. And people got mad. How you have Coastal Carolina in your top 10? You're just doing that to troll. I'm like, for one, they have quite a few top 25 wins of active top 25 teams, and they also beat Kansas. Forget the name of the school that they beat. They beat a Power 5 school. So you beat a Power 5 school, and you have a couple top 25 wins. That's why I believe Coastal Carolina should be ranked higher than Cincinnati. That's not a hot take, by the way. I feel like I brought something to the table there to back that up, right?
I didn't send you mine. That's why you don't have mine.
No, I have it.
I don't have it.
Yeah, I have it marked as trash right here on the screen.
I'm almost positive I didn't send it.
All right, folks. So I tell you what, we're going to get back to your calls. We have our ranking coming up. By the way, I want to give Jamie Day a shout out real quick. Jamie Day brought up something that we asked about the Buckeye ceiling for the rankings. Okay, they make the play. Are they basically just battling for the 4th spot in the college football playoff? I said yes. I don't think that they get any higher than 4. I don't think that you're going to see a team that's only played 6 games. And again, I think Ohio State's the 2nd best team in the country. And even if I'm thinking that they're the 3rd, keep in mind, Clemson, Alabama, it's 1A, 1B. Ohio State's 1C. Like, they're all really good. I mean, we're splitting hairs with how good all 3 of those teams are. So it's not an insult to say if Ohio State's number 3. My point is Ohio State's battling it out for number 4, not because they're the 4th best team. It's because they have the 4th best resume, who's at least in college football playoff contention, only playing 6 games. But Jamie Day brought up a good point. He said there's no way that they can be ranked 4th. That it's going to have to be 3rd because we've already seen Clemson and Notre Dame once. We're going to see Clemson and Notre Dame twice. If Notre Dame beats Clemson, or if Clemson beats Notre Dame in a close one, then Notre Dame will go from 2 to 3. Clemson will go to 2, and then you end up getting Clemson, Notre Dame part 3. We don't want to see 3 games between those two opponents. So, Jamie Day, that's a great point. That right there would probably move Ohio State into the third spot, and the loser or in Clemson or Notre Dame probably to 4. I mean, who knows? But I thought that was an interesting point. So, yeah, I said there's no way Ohio State is ranked higher than 4th. They might just do that just to avoid that same matchup. And plus, that would at least so that would put Ohio State at 3?
Mm-hmm.
Clemson 2?
Yeah.
See, I also feel like, what do you do if you're the committee? Do you want Clemson, Notre Dame part 3 so that you can avoid Notre Dame or Clemson and Ohio State until the title game? I don't know. I say you get the best of both worlds. Keep Ohio State at 4 for the very reason of egos want them at 3. I want them at 4. That puts up a situation where Ohio State, if they won a national championship as the 4th seed, that means that would be the most impressive championship ever won in the history of sports. Not only did Ohio State struggle to even get a regular season in, they had to battle their own conference to get a season in. Then they barely made it to the Big Ten championship game, not because they weren't good enough, but because they didn't have enough games to get there. They had to rely on the Big Ten to change the rule at the end. Then they get to the playoff, only playing 6 games, which everything was working against them to even get there. Then they get there. Then you got to beat Alabama, and then Clemson to win a national championship. That will be the most impressive national championship in the history of sports. And currently, Ohio State already holds that, winning a national title back in 2014 with the 3rd-string quarterback. So there's that too. But something interesting to think about. Kev's ready to kill me. He started the promo music about a good 3-5 hours ago, and I've ignored it and kept rambling. So we'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Playoffs. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Tie ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball to point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it.
Spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers.
And now another edition of Obvious News from Geico. A study says that soft talkers do not make great radio personalities. We asked local librarian Steve Sage about this, and here's what he said.
Honestly, I don't buy it. I think I make very captivating radio.
Also in Obvious News, Geico makes it easy to save money and easy to manage your policy with the Geico app. So switching is a really smart decision. How does Steve feel about this?
I love the Geico app. I use it all the time.
That's Obvious News from Geico.
Obvious News. O'Reilly.
This is Jesse's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
As a nurse, not making it to work was not an option. But driving through the snow with my wiper blades struggling, I just didn't feel safe. So I pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts, and before I knew it, an employee was offering to install the wiper blades on my car. I got to stay out of the snow for a moment, and I still made it to work on time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like Taylor Swift choosing what to wear.
It's looking kind of chilly out today. I think I'll go with a cardigan.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dealing with battery problems? We can help you out and get you ready for the colder weather ahead. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a free charge, we can help with that too. And if it's time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2019.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
No one likes going to the grocery store, especially during the holidays. That's why you need ButcherBox. ButcherBox ships high-quality meat right to your door, and they partner with folks who prioritize caring for animals, the environment, and sustainability. And listen up, because you need to hear what I'm about to say. For a limited time, new members can get a free pack of bacon in every box for the life of their membership when they sign up at butcherbox.com/CJR. That's butcherbox.com/CJR. Go get that bacon.
Advance is helping you get your engine ready for the road this holiday season with the right oil, the right filter, at the right price every day. Get 5 quarts of full synthetic Mobil 1, Valvoline, Castrol Edge, or Pennzoil Platinum with the Mobil 1 oil filter for just $33.99. Plus, this holiday season, get a $25 NBA store gift card and 2 times Speed Perks points instantly with the purchase of 5 quarts of Mobil 1. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Save today on your next project at Menards, your home improvement store. Give your home a new look with Shaw Vinyl Plank Flooring. Manor Hill is waterproof, features an attached pad and clicks together for an easy installation. It's durable, making it perfect for any room in your home. Only $249 per square foot. Save on your next project now at Menards. Good through December 20th. Plus, a Menards gift card is always a great gift idea.
4 seasons, 3 see you all from Menards.
It's auction time again in North Lima, Ohio, with home improvement products and building materials, and it's all online, ending this Tuesday at 12 noon. Go to pbauctions.com and register to bid on name brand home improvement products online. Kitchens, flooring, Anderson windows and doors, decking, unclaimed freight, and more, all sold online at pbauctions.com. Auction ends this Tuesday at noon, so we'll see you online at the auction.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Get quality candidates delivered from Indeed's resume database immediately when you upgrade your job post. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
All those mouths to feed. So many different cravings.
In a world filled with endless dinner options, lives a family ravaged by hunger. The answer lies with one man. No, not just a man, a king, a pizza king.
Get a large Casanos Deluxe pizza for $15.99 or a large pepperoni for just $12.99. Call 294-KING and see for yourself why the proof is in the taste.
Pizza King.
The sweet smells of holiday have arrived. Sugar cookies, pumpkin pies, gingerbread, and the latest fragrances from Ulta Beauty. Get them as gift sets from Lancôme La Vie and Carolina Herrera, or perfectly purse-sized from Yves Saint Laurent and Marc Jacobs. Plus, when you spend $60 on fragrance, get a plush robe or throw to gift or to keep. Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. The holidays are here. Let's see the joy all season long. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
Just close your eyes.
Oh, you already got me an iPhone SE from Cricket.
Okay, open.
A caribou!
It's a reindeer, dear.
In North America, it's called caribou, Pooh.
No way.
Well, I love my new iPhone SE and my new caribou. What's it mean?
It's caribou.
Get the iPhone SE for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
And 1721 excludes upgrades and AT&T points. Limit 2 phones per customer. Activation fee $25 per line and additional one-time fees. $4 customer assistance fee may apply, subject to change.
Visit Boot Barn for quality gifts this holiday. Dan Post handcrafts their boots.
DELSYM.com. Use as directed.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are out. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. Or facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle. WYNG 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Justin Kinner Show, live here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Tweet the show at 1410 Kinner or give us a call at 457-9464. We now send you to the Wing Studios in Kettering. Here's your host, Justin Kinner.
All right, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. So it's official. Ohio State will be taking on Northwestern in the Big Ten Championship game a week from Saturday. Now, Indiana releases their first statement since finding out the news, because keep in mind, up until today, Indiana had mentally prepared themselves for potentially competing for their first ever Big Ten Championship. This is a statement from Scott Dolson, the Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics for the Indiana Hoosiers. He says, Coach Allen and I are proud of this team and the success we have had so far this season. We are one of only 2 teams in the country with 3 top 25 victories and have matched a program record for Big Ten wins. Although we understand the conference's decision, we are disappointed. From the start of the year, we have said we can only control what we can control. We had a chance to earn our spot in the Big Ten Championship game, but ultimately fell a touchdown short on the road against a great Ohio State team. We look forward to resuming activities and completing one of the best seasons in our school's history. Again, that was the statement that was just released from Indiana's athletic department just a little bit ago. I feel bad. I shouldn't feel bad. I do feel bad.
I do too.
Like, did the Big Ten, from a business standpoint, the Big Ten made the right decision. I said yesterday, the Big Ten has to decide whether they're going to do what's right or they're going to do what's fair. I think they did what's right. I do not believe they did what was fair. Indiana should be in the Big Ten title game, but they did make the right decision. I know people are like that. That doesn't make any sense. Yes, the line between fair and right there's a dividing line now between that for this circumstance. Because what's fair is that Indiana should be in that based on the ruling that was made coming into the season. But the right thing is, Ohio State should be in the Big Ten title game. They beat Indiana. Right. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Indiana, you just heard in that statement, it is the best season they have ever had. Yeah. And now they're not really going to be rewarded for it at all outside of the fact that, hey, they just get to say they had 3 top 25 victories on the season.
Yeah, I feel real bad for Indiana, especially because, I don't be trying to toot my own horn, but I kind of saw this season coming from them. And they're basically not being rewarded for that, And obviously, I want Ohio State in there because I'm a Buckeye and I'm not a Hoosier. But just being a person, who wouldn't feel like, man, they had their best season ever, and they don't get a chance to play for the title because of politics and money, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. Ohio State is a bigger brand. They did lose to Ohio State. Let's not ever forget that they did lose, regardless of how we felt about the win that Ohio State had over them. They still lost to Ohio State. Yep. And it all goes back to the simple fact that these athletic directors agreed on 6 games, and that's the hanging up point that we're all looking at. If they never said that verbiage was never used, 6-game minimum, nobody would say anything. But since they had that in there and there was 0 room for makeup dates, like you was saying from the jump, you're going to put yourself in a corner where you have to make a tough decision, and that tough decision was made today. If you never use that verbiage of saying a 6-game minimum, if you just said win percentage, then you could just arbitrarily just say, yeah, they got the win percentage, and maybe this would have never came up to say is there a minimum games? It's tough. It's not an easy thing for everybody out there saying oh man, this is clear cut and dry. Ohio State's the best team. Look at the recruiting rankings. They beat Indiana. It's not that cut and dry.
Yeah, and especially considering that Ohio State's worst game of the season just happened to be the biggest win of the. It's a weird scenario. The biggest win of the season happened to be their worst game of the season.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's strange about this, because like that's why I'm like, man, I felt really good about Indiana and how they looked against Ohio State, and I felt really bad about how Ohio State looked. Like, I didn't feel good about Ohio State. When they beat Indiana, I didn't feel like, oh, man, that's a great win. I felt like, man, they played bad. Man, their secondary's garbage. Man, that defense is not what it was a year ago. Man, Justin Fields, what the hell are you doing? You threw 3 interceptions. So that's why it's hard for me when fans are waving the flag of, well, they won. Well, they did. But, man, they looked bad doing it. And Indiana, this goes back to the Cincinnati conversation of Indiana's in the American Conference. They're also undefeated. They're getting highly ranked. Now they're getting punished for playing Ohio State. Well, Cincinnati's getting rewarded for playing nobody. Doug Toby says, I've told you before, the fair is in July. Now, but that's ironic and hypocritical of Buckeye fans who were not, just 24 hours ago. That's not fair. It wasn't our fault that we didn't get 6 games in. The Buckeye fans have played the fair game as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Indiana tries it's not fair, it's, oh, well, the fair's in July. So I get it. No, this is not good for, I mean, I guess it's good for the Big Ten because they got their playoff contender in. Ohio State needs a game. But no, Indiana I think they got screwed here. I know it sounds funny because they lost to Ohio State. But ultimately, a rule was changed to benefit Ohio State, to benefit the Big Ten. And ultimately, we as Buckeye fans, we benefit from it too. Because I wasn't tuning in to watch Indiana Northwestern. I just wasn't.
Real quick. Big Ten championship game. It all started back in 2011. Michigan State has 3 appearances. Wisconsin has 6 appearances. Nebraska has 1. Ohio State, this will be their 5th appearance. Iowa has an appearance. Penn State has an appearance. Northwestern, this will be their 2nd appearance.
You said there's Northwestern 2nd?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when they faced Ohio State, 2 years ago when they lost to Purdue.
I'm sorry. This will be Ohio State's 6th appearance. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ohio State's been 6. Wisconsin's been 6. Sparty's been 3. Northwestern twice. Penn State once. Iowa once. Nebraska once. So Illinois never been. Indiana has never been. Maryland's never been. Minnesota's never been. Purdue's never been. Rutgers has never been. And that team up north has never been either.
So my thing is we might as well not even have a Big Ten title game. Can we just hand the Big Ten championship to Ohio State? That way they get 2 weeks off, a couple weeks to prepare for the game to actually. Like, let's be clear. We limped through this thing just to get to the 2-game stretch that matters, and that is the college football playoff. Right? This is the only stuff that matters. The college football playoff is all that matters. Not a rivalry game or the only thing that matters is beating that team up. No. The only thing that matters is winning national championships. That's how you are labeled.
But you have to get through the regular season to get to those.
Obviously not. They could win a national championship without beating Michigan this year. Obviously not.
This is a COVID year. But you have to have something to go off of.
Something to go off of what?
You have to have some type of games to go off of.
They got 5 good ones in.
Yeah.
5, well, not really. 5. They just got 5 games in.
But I will say this, and I think I come off as the more of the Ohio State homer on this show than you.
Rational observers, so.
which I don't think that I'm an Ohio State homer. I will say this about Ohio State, and I will be clear as I can. They have to win the national championship. This whole Big Ten college football season happened because of Ohio State. When Nebraska was screaming about having a season,
we laughed at them. We're like, what do you want a season for? The reason we laughed at them is for basically what unfolded to begin with. I mean, there's just Nebraska. I mean, they're whatever.
This ain't.
But you're right. Ohio State.
This ain't 1995 with Tommy out here running the option and everything like that, and your now head coach running the option. This ain't 1995, the black shirts defense and everything like that. Even when Penn State opened up their mouths and said we need to have a season, nothing happened. Even the almighty team up north, when they started saying something and their head coach started talking, nothing happened. As soon as Justin Fields said something, as soon as Ryan Day started getting into the mix, miraculously things turned around. So let's be very clear. The reason the Big Ten had a season this year, but because of Buckeye Nation and because of Ohio State. With that said, with all that power that Ohio State wields, and we love to show it off, and we love to stick our chests out and say, Buckeye Nation, we're the big bad Buckeyes, yada, yada, yada. I'm with you 100%. If they don't come through with the national championship, this is a failure. Because all this happened because y'all wanted it. Now that you have it, you have to cash in. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear anything about nothing. It's national championship or bust. And I'm normally not that guy. I'm really not that type of guy that says, oh, it's championship or bust. If they don't win the championship, this season's a failure. Like, I don't get down like that. But this year, oh yeah, I'm on it this year. This season, the season happened because you cried about it. We cried about it. Then we cried about being in the Big Ten championship game. They made accommodations to put us in there.
You really are a whiny ass program. You know that? Like,
so
you really are.
I just want to make sure everybody's aware. Like, everything was put out on the platter for Ohio State. They rolled out the red carpet to say, hey, here's an opportunity to win the national championship. Now that you have the opportunity to win a national championship, you have to. Because if you don't, it's all for nothing. And if you think the ridicule from the SEC was something before, if we don't come with the national championship now, it's going to be tenfold. It's going to be tenfold. They're going to have every ammunition, every word to say. Like, y'all didn't play enough games, but they still let you in. They changed the schedule around to let you in, and you still couldn't win it. They put everything in our way for us to win the national championship. And if we don't get it, they're going to have all the ammo, and to be perfectly honest, they'll be right. So Justin Fields, Coach Ryan Day, defense, everybody, go win the national championship. Go win it. I don't want to hear if we're 4, if we're 1. I don't care. As long as we're in it, you got to win it. I don't care if they got to play Clemson the first game and then Alabama the second game. I don't care. Win. Period.
Look at you.
I'm straight up, dog. This is real. This is real, man. Look, like, they did everything for Ohio State. The Big Ten did all this for Ohio State. And I don't have no problem with it because I'm a Buckeye fan. It's accommodating me and my fandom. So I'm here for it. Yeah, but you got to come through.
And I remember back to when a lot of those, you know, when Justin Fields was doing the hashtag we want to get paid thing, all that stuff, which is great. But I have no problem with that. In fact, it took that to happen. And, you know, it would have been wrong for the Big Ten not to play while the SEC, ACC, and everyone else was, you know, battling it out for national championship. So I'm fine with that. But remember what all of this was about is because how wrong it is. Everyone felt so bad for Ohio State because not only are you keeping them from playing in the 2020 season, you were keeping them from potentially winning a national.
Right.
This is arguably one of the best teams Ohio State's ever had. They have to have a season. They need to play. They need to play. Well, they're playing. And if the whole reason was that they have to play is because you're taking a national championship away from them, damn it, you better walk away with that national championship.
I will say this, the Dwayne Haskins team smoked this team with all the wide receivers that was on this team.
At one Kevin Nash on Twitter. At one Kevin Nash.
I'm just saying, like, think about that passing attack Dwayne Haskins had. All those dudes are in the NFL now playing some real good football and matched up against this secondary. Oh, they'll eat them up. They'll eat them up. But that's the crazy part about college football and sports in general. We can all agree last year's team was probably one of the best Ohio State teams we've ever seen, but they didn't win the national championship. They don't have to be better than last year's team to win this year's national championship team. All they got to do is be better than the teams that they face this year. So go get it done.
Keep in mind that I'm laughing. I'm on Twitter. I'm going and looking reaction across the board, not just here locally. And, the phrasing of everything. The signs always pointed towards the Big Ten changing the rules to improve its playoff chances.
Yes.
And the wording always cracks me up because it's a lot of passive-aggressive language in there. And it cracks me because the SEC would do the same thing.
And if they didn't, they're dumb.
That's dumb, too. Here's the other thing. The ACC adds – it cracks me that that's such a common-sense statement to make, but yet he's wording it as if he's being a smartass. The ACC adds Notre Dame to help improve playoff chances.
Right.
For them.
Yes.
Good for you. The Lakers add LeBron just so they can win an NBA championship. Yeah.
Yes. This is a business, man.
The Cincinnati Bengals draft Joe Burrow in effort to win Super Bowls. Oh, those cheating bastards. What do you want? What are you talking about? Of course, people do things to better their chances to win championships. I have no problem with what the Big Ten just did. I still think it's wrong what they did to Indiana, but it's not wrong what they did in general. I just feel bad for Indiana.
I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I just feel bad for Indiana. Like, man, that kind of sucks. They had the best season ever. They had great victories, and they don't get to play for it. But ultimately, if Ohio State would have played one more game, they wouldn't have been playing in the Big Ten championship anyway. So, and they lost to Ohio State. So it ain't like it was like you're pulling hairs with the whole Ohio State and Penn State thing. Like, I don't feel horrible. I just feel like, man, that kind of sucks. I feel bad for those kids. And to be perfectly honest, I would feel even worse if Michael Penix Jr. were still playing. Because, like, he's the captain of the team.
That does help me feel less bad about it now.
I mean, like, if he was still on the team, like, oh, man, then I would really be walking around here with my chest out like, man, anything's possible with that kid. That kid can play some football. They got the backup in there. He did his job. He didn't turn the ball over versus Wisconsin. We know Wisconsin has a good defense. He did his part. And now they go play in that possible +1 game on Championship Sunday, and then they get a bowl game. And to be perfectly honest, I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them the rest of the season, man. Go Hoosiers.
Yeah, the Big Ten West is garbage, man.
Maybe Indiana should go over there and try to go do some stuff.
Yeah, because they would at least capitalize on it. Like, this is why I'm so mad at Northwestern. Folks, do you realize that Northwestern, they don't even have, like, this is where it really would have tested the perception theory when it comes to the College Football Playoff Committee. So Northwestern loses to Michigan State. Now, I don't want to hear, like, I've been giving Michigan State, you got to give them credit. You know, Mel Tucker, good coach. There's not a coach. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the coach. I'm a big Mel Tucker fan. Michigan State's in good hands moving forward. But that's not a good team. It's just not a good team. And I don't care how hard they play for Mel Tucker. They have no business beating good football teams in the Big Ten. So that's not a shot at Michigan State. That's just the reality of it when you are a team that's battling it out. So Northwestern is basically being rewarded by playing. Like, this is why the divisions is garbage, Kev. Any championship game should be highlighting the two best teams in the championship game. The Big Ten is not doing that. Northwestern is not the second best team in the Big Ten. But the Big Ten championship game, any championship game is supposed to highlight the two best teams in your conference or in your league or whatever. And that's why I think the divisions theory is bad. I like the Big 12. I like the ACC. It needs to be 1 versus 2. The Big 10 wasted time making a subtle change to get Ohio State there. They should have done 1 versus 2, being Ohio State versus Indiana part 2. Northwestern, you lost to a bad Michigan State team. They really had a chance to test the theory, the perception theory of the committee, because had they beat Michigan State like they were supposed to, they would have been undefeated. They'd be 6-0. The Minnesota game gets canceled. They'll play Illinois most likely, and they'll probably beat them. They'll be 6-1. They could have been 7-0. Mm-hmm. Northwestern could have been 7-0, most likely taking on, at the time we thought, what could have been an Indiana team in the Big Ten championship game. Imagine had Northwestern been undefeated. The Big Ten didn't change the rule, and Indiana was in the Big Ten championship game, and Northwestern beats them and ends up being an 8-0 Big Ten champion. They would have to be in the college football playoff. There's no way they could have kept them out. So Northwestern, not only you ruined your shot at the playoff, I don't think you should be in the Big Ten title game. I'm not a Northwestern guy. Like, yes, I feel bad for Indiana. I'm seeing some comments in here. They should have beat Ohio State. Yeah, for one, it's Indiana. They should not have beat Ohio State. It was a win for them just being in the game with Ohio State to begin with. But I have a huge problem with the Big Ten's format here, not just this year, any year. Stop with the divisions, 1 versus 2. But then that takes care of that little rivalry game of Ohio State, Michigan. Stop it. You can get that game in every year.
I got you, but I think all that stuff is reciprocal because before Florida State fell off the face of the earth, the best 2 teams in the ACC were Florida State and Clemson, and they were on the same side. But they end up playing Georgia Tech and Duke in the ACC championship game. You have years where before Florida and Georgia came back to life, where Alabama was playing Florida and Florida was like 7-5 and 6-6 some years. You've had situations back when USC and Oregon were dominant. They were playing 6-6 teams in the conference. Like, this is just reciprocal. This happens all the time. You can think back to even in the NFL where the NFC they went like on a 15-year winning streak versus the AFC and Super Bowl matchups. You could literally say, well, the best 2 teams aren't playing in the Super Bowl. Like it's just a reciprocal thing. I don't necessarily believe like that's like the end all be all of college football or sports in general. It's just the way it's been set up for years, and it takes time before people start realizing like, all right, maybe we shouldn't do it like that. I, just like you, I love the way that the Big 12 does it. Everybody literally plays everybody, which is an anomaly because obviously the Big 10 has 14 teams. Do the math on that. And then the SEC has like 16 teams or whatever, but they all don't play each other. But in the Big 12, where there's only 10 teams, they all play each other. And then the top 2 teams play for the conference championship. That is a true champion because the best 2 teams to play. When you have this many teams in a conference, you're never going to get the right way. You're never going to get that because, I mean, we can think back to the year that the JT 4th and 1 play versus that team up north. We can all agree those were the 2 best teams in the Big 10, but Ohio State won that game and they went on to play in the Big 10 championship game that year. But it was really Ohio State and Michigan were the 2 best teams in the conference.
And they could have played back-to-back weeks.
This happens all the time. Like,
but the Big 10 ruined their shot of getting the 2 teams in the playoff because if Michigan would have responded and beat Ohio State the next week, you could add 2 Big 10 teams in. So I feel like just because you could potentially have the same 2 teams face each other back-to-back weeks, for one, that's more Ohio State, Michigan, assuming Harbaugh ever does his job and gets them back to being, good. It's good for the conference. To me, I have no problem with teams having more than one. I mean, that's why the ACC, Clemson, Notre Dame, I love it. I love the fact that we're going to have this huge anticipation of a rematch because when you have the 2 best teams in the ACC meet earlier in the year and a close double overtime battle or triple overtime, whatever it was, the anticipation's there. There's no anticipation for Ohio State Northwestern. Northwestern is just a blip in the radar that they have to get by so they can finally get to the games that actually matter, which is why we did all of this. The college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this should be something that stands the test of time. I think this is one of the things that they should take over to next season, and seasons to continue. Like basically do it how the ACC did it. Best 2 win percentages. Go to the championship game. Like you don't have to do divisions. You can just scramble it up. You can say like, all right, Ohio State, you always play Michigan. You always play a Penn State, and then just scramble everybody else up year by year because there's certain situations where certain schools don't even get a chance to travel to the other school. Like you're all in the conference together and your whole recruiting class can go by and you never go to that other school. Like I can't remember the last time Ohio State played at Minnesota.
It would have been JT's first year. It was the year they won the national title. It was the year they won the
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying they haven't played there since then. The only reason I remember that game is because the weird coach at the time, the heavier set coach,
yes,
he was eating a popsicle on the sideline when it was snowing and freezing outside. That's the only reason I remember that. It's because it was snowing. The camera pans in on him in the middle of the game, and he's sucking on a popsicle. Weirdo. It's wonder why he's not coaching there anymore. Anyways,
I do remember that game. JT ran like a 95-yard quarterback draw in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that game. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like we've had
all memories of him were through running.
Just had the comeback game versus Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, comeback victory over Penn State at the shoe.
Then they lost
in the all gray uniforms. He was on his way to winning the Heisman that year after that game.
Mm-hmm. Then he started out the Iowa game with a completion.
Hey JT, if you're listening, remember that's him that be hating on you, not me.
What, a pick 6 to start the Iowa game?
I'm just saying, man, we're always looking for more guests to come on the show. And like, you can, Joe Klatt's not coming on.
You know how many bridges I've burned?
JT's not coming on. I mean, Coach Grant's not coming on. I mean,
hey, don't bring them up. They're super sensitive fans.
I'm just saying they're not coming on. It ain't because of me.
Well, it's because of me.
I'm just saying.
But you ain't wrong.
Trevor Bauer ain't coming on.
Hey, he'll be fine when he gets to the Mets. Then he'll come on.
Woo, he about to get paid.
He ain't going to be in Cincinnati.
No. Not happening.
All right, so Coach Krzyzewski, remember him? He was all about everyone make the NCAA tournament. We'll definitely have a March Madness. There's no way we won't. Now, all of a sudden, Duke doesn't look so hot to start the season, and now all of a sudden, he's worried about the virus. Now he's worried about the virus. We'll talk about college basketball on the other side of the break. The Dayton Flyers get a win last night. My tweet sparked a big old. I just got destroyed. I literally just got annihilated on social media last night.
Stay out the comments, man.
All because I just had the nerve to have an opinion about another team in town. All you do, you don't support the local teams. That's my opinion about a local team that has you all fired up and angry. The theory doesn't make sense. Anyways, we'll be back. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly clear with a high near 50. Tonight's also going to be clear with a low around 28, and tomorrow will be mostly clear with a high near 52. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Time ball game with the shot clock winding down now. Jones takes the ball to point off the high screen and roll. He puts up the shot at the buzzer, and it's
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers basketball fans can't make it to the arena this season, but want to experience a safe electric college game day atmosphere? Timothy's Bar and Grill is the spot to support the Flyers all season long. Follow Timothy's Bar and Grill on Facebook and Twitter for select game day specials. Go Flyers!
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up, there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
I saved big money with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, so I finally bought that new set of golf clubs. Watch out, Fairway. Here I come.
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big with Progressive, but your other expenses won't just disappear. Are those clubs going to help you when the hot water heater dies? Also, it sounds like your money is better spent on golf lessons.
Time to go shoot the course record.
No, but maybe time for a reality check. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the US that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2020 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
When running a business, HR issues can kill you. Wrongful termination suits, minimum wage requirements, labor regulations. I'm Alan Jones, founder and CEO of Bambi. I created Bambi specifically for small business. Get a dedicated HR manager, craft HR policy, and maintain compliance for $99 a month. Seriously. Month to month, no hidden fees, cancel anytime.
Go to Bambi.com/CJR to schedule your free HR audit. That's BAM to the BEE.com/CJR.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up, there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
For the one standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Assurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, Joey Beckett here at Buckeye Ford in Sydney, home of the Works package. We'll change the oil and filter, rotate the tires, check the brakes, test the battery, and check all the fluids and filters. Still starting at just $39.95. And ask us about our double take tire specials. Goodyear, Michelin, BF Goodrich, Kelly, and other quality tires. Buckeye Ford in Sydney, exit 92 off of I-75. We'll see you soon.
Where is your haircut gone? We know you don't get out as much. You don't drive by your regular sport clips and pop in for that MVP haircut experience that is so much more than a haircut. But isn't it worth getting out for? For that legendary hot steam towel for your face, massage and shampoo that makes you melt into your seat. Oh man, you remember that, right? We found your haircut. It's right where you left it. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities. Or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Available at AutoZone and AutoZone.com.
This year, get a gift for the crew and something for you, too. Shop Lowe's in-store or at Lowe'sForPros.com for brands like DeWalt, Metabo, HPT, Yeti, and more. While supplies last, U.S. only.
Don't miss the only weekly hour of radio dedicated to Dayton Flyers basketball. It's Talking Out Loud, hosted by Sully. Thursday nights at 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, and online at wingam.com. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Just a little bit left here on the show. We still got a lot more to get into. Appreciate ESPN's Heather Dinich for taking time and calling into the show a little bit ago to, at the time, give us the latest on what she was hearing about the behind-the-scenes conversations regarding the Ohio State Buckeyes Big Ten Championship game status. Of course, since that conversation, since that time with her earlier today, it has been made official, which we basically figured. You know, when we talked to Heather Dinich, we said that they were just at the stage of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And the rest of the conversation was more so just about Ohio State's playoff chances, just assuming that they're Big Ten champions at 6-0, which, by the way, that has been officially made official, I guess, that there will be no makeup game coming up on Saturday. So Ohio State will not play this Saturday. They will play a week from Saturday in the Big Ten championship game, a noon kickoff against Northwestern. And then that's all she wrote as far as the regular season and the Big Ten season is concerned. And then it's on to, well, just sitting and waiting and finding out what happens on Selection Sunday as far as whether or not the Buckeyes are in or not.
Hurry up and wait.
So that's going to be key. So if you missed the interview with Heather Dinich, we will have that interview up. Make sure you subscribe and download to the Justin Kinner Show podcast in your Apple iTunes and Google Play Store. Last night, the Dayton Flyers improved to 2-1 on the season, defeating Northern Kentucky out of the Horizon League 66-60. And a win is a win. Coach Anthony Grant saying that in the postgame, that, look, the most important thing is that they got a win. And anytime that you get a win, all while learning things about your team that you need to work on, that's a double win. What you can't have happen is having flaws, losing because of your flaws, and then having to teach your team through that. So anytime you can have flaws and win a game, it's a double win. As a coach, I mean, trust me, coaches would prefer to win in impressive fashion.
Right.
But when you have a team that is trying to replace not just Obi Toppin, but two very experienced seniors in Ryan Mikesell and Trey Landers, to me, I'm not going to lie to you. I know this sounds crazy, and I saw this take on Twitter quite a lot last night, that the loss of Ryan Mikesell and Trey Landers has actually been a bigger blow to this team than Obi Toppin. I know that sounds silly. Of course, it's tough to replace an NBA lottery pick. They don't, but like it's the senior leadership that this team is really lacking right now. It's not talent. Of course, you can always use an Obi Toppin. My point being is that this isn't a lack of talent. They lack depth. That's why they're not going deep into their bench. That's what a lot of question marks as to why Anthony Grant's playing a walk-on so much. But lack of talent's not necessarily the issue. It's the lack of experience. Like, you're watching way too many guys stand around. I think they're trying to learn their new roles. They're trying to figure one another out still. No need to hit a panic button. But as of right now, this isn't a very good basketball team, in my opinion. But again, it doesn't matter who you are right now in December. You got January and February coming up, conference time starting here in a few weeks. That's the most important thing. So last night, I'm watching the Dayton Flyers take on a team out of the Horizon League. I'm done with this. Like, keep in mind, non-conference time, this is usually my time where I rant about this matchup not happening, and then we forget about it come January. So just bear with me. But, I get pretty fired up at the fact that the Flyers, that they will not put them on the schedule, and then they go do these weird little passive-aggressive things where we won't schedule the Horizon League team 10 miles from our place, 12, 13 miles from our arena. We're going to go an hour south and get that Horizon League team. Those things just irritate the hell out of me. And I hear every excuse in the book. Last night, a guy on Twitter says there's no upside. Give me one reason why they should play Wright State. It's all the upside for Wright State. There's nothing to gain for UD. Wright State will come in extra motivated. Well, that's such a weak excuse. If your athletic director, Neil Sullivan, doesn't have enough confidence in Anthony Grant and this roster energy level of a little old Wright State, then that says more about them than it does about the opponent that they're playing. Like, you would think that they would match the energy. Like, that's a weak excuse. You're afraid then. That's the definition of fear. When you are worried that they will bring something to the table that you won't, then yes, you are afraid to play them. Do I really believe they're afraid to play him? No, but I do believe there are boneheaded decisions being made behind the scenes as to why it doesn't happen. I'm told that Wright State's nowhere near being on the caliber level of UD. Mm-hmm. I'm watching the team last night that's worse than Wright State take it to UD and nearly beat UD. I mean, it took UD a full 40 minutes to beat a team that's ranked 203 in the Ken Pom. It took a full 40 minutes to beat Eastern Illinois, who I believe is ranked at 160 in the Ken Pom. So when I say last night, I put this tweet up. And this is the thing that, I get why people got so fired up with me. Emotions are high right after a game that was a win but didn't feel like a win. There was a lot of things to be concerned about if you're a Flyer fan right now. I said, based on what I've seen from right now, from what I've seen from UD 3 games in, and what I know about this Wright State roster, Wright State beats this current UD team. Maybe that's not the case a month from now. Maybe that's not the case after what we see on Saturday with Mississippi State coming up. They're going to be hitting the road. From what I've seen right now, there are way too many flaws. There are way too many deficiencies. And if you let teams like Eastern Illinois and NKU hang around, who are Wright State is better than, Wright State beats this UD team. I have no problem saying that. I have no problem. Like, instead, when I say that I think Wright State could beat this UD team, people think that I'm saying UD sucks. No, what I'm saying is that this Wright State team is pretty good. Mm-hmm. This Wright State team is pretty good. And then the simple-minded folk out there like to bring up do you mean the team that lost to Marshall by 15 plus points? Yes, that team. That team that was out for 2 weeks with 6+ players out with COVID, that had one practice before stepping out on the floor with Marshall, that lost. Yes. By the way, I love when it's not an excuse. I love when people, everything is labeled an excuse when you're looking for a reason as to why something happened, and that reason totally waters down your attack on that particular team. You just label it an excuse. That's not an excuse. Anyone with even a half a mind that knows anything about basketball knows that that's why they lost that game. Give me a damn break. I'm so sick of the cocky UD fans out there that do everything they can to take a shot at Wright State. By the way, they don't even know anything about the program. They don't go to games. They don't watch games. But yet they try to tell me, who actually watches the team, what they think they know, when they know absolutely. I had some guy last night say, oh, please, they lost to Northern Kentucky twice last year. No, last year's Northern Kentucky team was a million times better than the team that UD needed 40 minutes to beat last night. And Wright State beat them twice, including by 30 on an ESPNU game last year. So no, that's not even close to being factually accurate once again. My point is that not that UD is bad, it's that Wright State's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. Yes, Shaw, finally, you're going to get your name shouted out. Yes, you were simple-minded last night. Absolutely. Absolutely. But how is the idea, Kevin, that a better team than those two teams that UD needed a full 40 minutes to beat, how is the idea that Wright State could beat that team that crazy? It's not, but they take it as a slight, and if they're offended by it, fine. But my whole point about all of this is I'm not saying UD is bad. I'm just saying Wright State's good enough to compete and beat them. based on what I've seen from them, and I actually watch Wright State. I actually know what I'm talking about when it comes to Wright State. I know about the talent they have on that roster. I know about the depth that they have on their roster. They can actually play more than 6 guys. All right, they actually have quite a few big post players too to match up with UD. UD would have the 2 best players on the floor at all times, in Ibby Watson and Jalen Crutcher. But after that, it evens up a little bit as of right now. Maybe Saturday, things click and gel and we see a completely different team. Maybe a month from now, all of a sudden, everything comes together. I'm not dumb. You lost Ryan Mikesell. You lost Trey Landers. You lost an NBA lottery pick in Obi Toppin. If you think that I'm taking a shot at a team thinking that they should be better than what they are, I'm not. They probably are where they should be right now, considering the limitations on practices and everything preparing for the season after losing those 3 big-time players. Really, it's just been a wonky offseason. Those are excuses, but I'm acknowledging them. I don't expect them to be a polished product right now. You're trying to replace an NBA draft pick to the New York Knicks. You're trying to draft 2 guys that were a part of multiple NCAA tournament teams, multiple coaches, multiple winning seasons, multiple A-10 championships, multiple losing seasons. They went through it all. You're replacing a ton. I'm not hating on the Dayton Flyers. I'm so sick and tired of, and not all fans are like that, but there's a select soft few like Shaw who continue to try to take everything I say and put a little trash emoji on there. I said last night, based on what I've seen, I believe Wright State's good enough to beat them. You would have thought I made a Jesus joke in church. It was unbelievable. The anger that was spewed out of people's mouths. So I said, Wright State's talented enough to compete with them. What's wrong with that? Why does that anger you? Because UD's going to get better. I even put that as a disclaimer in the message. I said, there's a lot of time for growth. They will continue to get better. Maybe my opinion changes down the road, but as of right now, with this Wright State team who is deeper, who has size, who has great guard play, who has experience. That's the one thing, too, that they have above UD, experience. That's why I gave them a little bit of that nod. So if I offended you last night by having the nerve to have an opinion about a team that also shares these city limits, I apologize. I'm very sorry. But I refuse. I refuse to look at the game with Northern Kentucky and Eastern Illinois. Look at how they struggled to close them out. It took a full 40 minutes to do it. I refuse to watch those games and say, oh, yeah, there's no way Wright State could beat this team. That's ludicrous. That's ludicrous even for the most narrow-minded of certain fans. That's ludicrous. So for those I offended last night, I apologize. I do not hate the Flyers program. In fact, the only thing I criticize UD for is not playing Wright State. Outside of that, what's there to criticize? What? Oh, Obi Toppin jumped too high? What? Oh, man, they won too many games last year? Oh, man, what's wrong, UD? You couldn't be ranked number 2 last year? You could only good enough to be ranked number 3? There's nothing for me to criticize UD for. If I'm critical, it's because of that reason right there. It's a cowardly reason that they don't play Wright State. If that offends you, I'm sorry. I don't hate the Flyers program. I love the players. Anthony Grant's a fantastic coach. Neil Sullivan, don't agree with the scheduling philosophy, but he's one of the best athletic directors in the country. I will never doubt that. So, folks, again, you hear what you want to hear. You take what I say and you spin it to fit your narrative that I'm this big Dayton Flyers hater. I had multiple people email my bosses today trying to get me fired because I had to, because I don't support the local teams. I'm sorry you're mad because I said that one local team was capable of beating the Dayton Flyers, and you're mad because I'm not basically drooling like all the other media does. Bottom line is I'm fair. I'm down the middle. I'm critical when I need to be. I give praise when it's there. I mean, hell, it's ridiculous. Stop being so soft. Select fans. I don't hate your program. I'm a big fan of you. But there's nothing to dislike. But the arena? Oh, because they can only fit 13 and not 14,000 fans. Am I going to criticize that? Oh, that damn Jumbotron in the middle, it's too damn big. Oh, these seats are too comfortable. Oh, man, there's nothing to criticize the Flyers for. And if they look a little shaky to start in games, they should. You lost 2 great seniors. You lost Obi freaking Toppin. So when I say, hey, they didn't look so hot, maybe it's just because they didn't look so hot and not because I'm a hater. Stop being soft, people. You can do better. I could do better, I'm sure. And I'll work on that. But you need to work on you. Because this town, I'm telling you right now, there's 2 really good basketball teams here. UD's supposed to be better. More money coming in, more revenue, better player. You should be better. But just because you're better doesn't mean that the other team in town's not good either. And the second you guys realize that, the better off our relationship will be.
I'll piggyback on that real quick, and especially that last point you made. There's 2 good basketball teams in town, and me, obviously, I'm not born and raised here, but I spent a lot of my life here, and I went to Wright State and everything like that. I would stress to people like, you're missing out. You're missing out on something that you can enjoy. Like, you can enjoy two things at the same time. Like, you know, I know people in Cincinnati who root for the Bearcats and Xavier, and they're arch rivals. Like, you're missing out on something that could be great for the city. You're missing out on two teams that ultimately you can take to either game that you choose to go to and take your family and be entertained for the evening when we're allowed to go back outside into the world and everything like that. So for me, people are truly missing out on a golden opportunity to root for both teams and be happy for both teams. And when they act like that, the whole, if they're going to play, if they're not going to play, that's a whole different argument that we'll never get to the bottom of. That's something that we have zero control over. It's a one-sided situation, and unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be playing anytime soon. But something that we do have control over is encouraging people to check both teams out. It's okay to like two of the two teams. It's fine. Nobody's going to take your UD Flyer card if you check out a Wright State game and say, "Hey, man, hey, yo, they're pretty good. Like, this is entertaining. This is fun." It's okay. It's fine. I don't get that. Like, you can watch the 49ers and the Rams play at 1 o'clock and then turn around and watch New England and Buffalo at 4 o'clock.
You can be a Browns and the Cowboys fan.
Yeah, you can pull a Kenner. It's cool. It's not a big deal, man. So I truly don't understand that major divide in the city over that, man. And to be perfectly honest, it's really a divide coming from one side, and it is really sad. So I would encourage everybody, check out Wright State when they're on, and check out UD when they're on. Enjoy some good basketball and root for both teams. And hopefully, maybe, possibly one day, we'll see them on the court versus each other.
Doubt it. No. Doug Toby says, are you going to eat crow? Are you going to eat crow if NKU beats Wright State? Folks.
Transitive properties, baby.
No, but like with that question, like, see, the thing that people don't realize is they think that I am trying to say that Wright State is UD. I'm not. Wright State, like, based on the way Wright State, who Wright State is, losing to NKU is not a bad loss to a team in your conference. And by the way, NKU is like 2 or 3 or whatever in the Ken Pom. That would be a bad loss this year. But the last couple of years, it's been Wright State and NKU. They've been right there around that 100 line for the Ken Pom rankings, which is about pretty good for where the Horizon League school should be. So a loss this year would probably hurt a little bit. But to be honest, UD losing to NKU is a lot different than Wright State losing to NKU.
Right.
Wright State, the last time they were in the Horizon League title game, got knocked out by NKU. You had Drew McDonald. You had a player that a lot of teams were going after, trying to get him to be a fifth-year grad transfer. He chose to stick it out with NKU and actually got to play in the Horizon League, win a Horizon League title, and ended up going on to face Texas Tech in the NCAA tournament, who ultimately went to the Final Four that year. The point is my biggest thing is when people say, what do you get out of playing Wright State? Well, what do you get out of playing NKU?
What do you get to play out of anybody? It's a game. It's a game. It's a basketball game. You play basketball to see who's the winner and the loser. And more importantly, if you play Wright State UD, like, just think about people and think about the joy that you can bring to the city and the togetherness, and also think about the revenue it could generate. Like, I don't want to be that guy, just simply think about money. But if the world is open again, when the world is open again and those two teams play, oh man, the bars are going to be hopping. It's going to be a great time. Like, what's wrong with having a great time? What's wrong with that? I don't get it.
See, and here's the thing too, and we're going over. That's fine.
Are you sure it's fine? I don't think a certain somebody's going to say it's fine.
David Shaw is taking us in the time machine. Going back to say you were running them down after the Kansas game. So please, running them down after the Kansas game. I was not running them down after the Kansas game. If you mean that I was being a little critical after the Kansas game because in overtime your best player, Nobi Toppin, got one shot, yes, I was being a little critical. If we're going to rewind all the way back to that, which is so silly that you have to go all the way back to Maui to find to use an example of me being critical. Yes,
good memory, though.
Isn't that a fair criticism, though? If you go all the way back to Maui, that, oh man, can you believe Kenner? He's such a hater. He was upset that the Flyers didn't go to their best player and only get more than one shot off in overtime. Yeah, stop. I'm going to be critical when I need to be critical. I'll praise when I praise. Stop being soft, people. That's simple. To sum up, I don't hate. I appreciate.
You were saving that all show.
Oh, yeah. David Shaw, you run them down all the time. That's my point. Give me an example. Where have I run them down? What does running down mean? When they don't play well and I said, oh, man, they didn't play last night. Oh, there he goes, running them down. Or using my brain and pointing out something factual. I don't know what you want me to say. Oh, man, they just lost by 100 points. All right, man. Flyers lose by 100 points last night, but didn't they play hard, by golly? Is that the kind of radio you want? You can go find that in the newspaper. I ain't doing that here. It is what it is.
I want to hear more about the emails.
The email, oh, yeah. I have 3 of them. One of them was on Facebook. David Shaw, you're the softest guy in radio.
Thanks for listening.
Says the guy that got his panties in the wild last night because I said Wright State could beat UD, and literally he probably didn't sleep all night. Well, you're not talking to me. You're ignoring me. Oh. Have a good night, everybody.